Hey, recording.
Am I the one running it tonight?
You are running it tonight, Jeff.
I didn't know if Corey was running it or not. So, all right, we're gonna call this meeting to order. It is 6:04 Monday night, August 1st. We have a quorum. We have Corey Peterson and Sarah Veit joining us online, so we have the full attendance tonight. We'll look for a motion to approve the regular agenda plus the one addition.
Yeah, are you gonna do the pledge?
Sure, we can do the pledge. I'm sorry.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So I will look for a motion to approve the regular agenda with the, I believe, one change of Brenton brought up. Is that correct?
So one with the change would be adding the address of 7224 6th and 4th Avenue South, septic system installation for a new single family dwelling.
Okay, what number is that?
Or if you'd like it, we can put it towards that.
Okay, why don't we do it at
Do it at
22B?
22B is fine.
Okay,
I see the address. 7224. Okay. I will make a motion to approve the regular agenda.
okay.
Oh, I second.
I was like, I don't know if I can second tonight, so Brenton, you can let me know.
You can.
Okay,
Yeah, you're just helping facilitate.
got it. All right, so we got a first and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
I think she might be.
I think you're a little late there, Sarah. So,
Yep,
Motion
gotta
passes.
give us a little time to chime in, so we're
All
good.
right. Sorry, I get my cues from Pepcorn from our MetroCog meetings. He's pretty quick. All right, moving on to number 4, approval for the consent agenda. Has anybody had a chance to go through all those?
I did. I just had one question. There was a charge for elementary and high school inspections to Midwest Inspection Services. Do we have obligations, or what's our obligations
We
with the
we
school?
contract with this Midwest Inspection Services for helping out the inspections, also commercial. So that falls under commercial.
Oh, okay,
So
the city has obligations in the schools to do inspections?
yes,
Okay. I
yeah,
just-
as part of their building permits,
Okay,
they, we have inspections of the construction of it and the schools. The high school isn't complete yet. I believe they're still working on
okay.
it. Yeah.
That was my only question.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll look for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll motion to approve the consent agenda.
And I'll just second that.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, motion passes. Moving on, number 5, approval of the city council meeting minutes from July 18th. I did have a chance to look through them all. They did look correct. Anybody else have a chance?
Yeah, okay.
I did as well.
Okay, look for a motion to approve.
I'll motion to approve the minutes of the July 18, 2022 meeting.
Okay, I got a second.
I'll second that, Jeff.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Fair enough. All right, time for public comment. We got a few people here in the audience. This is your time to step up, make a comment if you want to. Anybody not want to make a comment?
I'm here to address,
Can I have you stand up and just announce your name at least so we know who you are?
sure, my name is Katrina Lang. I represent ISR Homes.
Okay.
So if you want to jump to number 10 on the agenda, I'm here to discuss that.
Okay,
We can just handle that during that.
yeah, if you give me just, I don't know, it'll take just a
Yes,
couple minutes for the
if
next
you
couple.
have, if you have something to discuss that's on the agenda, you don't need public comment now for that.
Okay.
Anybody else? Okay, moving on to number,
Excuse me.
oh, sorry, go
I
ahead.
have just my standard question every time I come, when are we gonna get the streets back? We can drive on them again.
They're prepping this week, Al.
What's that?
They're prepping them this week. With the paving crew is supposed to be back at the earliest, the end of this week, and then, or next week. The plan is to get everything west of County Road 17, south of Wall, done before they move on to the east side. So that would be this week and next week unless schedule changes.
Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, fair enough. Moving on to number 7, sheriff's update. I don't see an officer here tonight. Do we have an update, Brendan?
No, they're not present. They have not sent us the update yet.
Okay, moving on to item number 8, Wall Avenue dust control. I'll leave that one to Brendan.
Okay, this one here, it's a common conversation, however, with new council now, figure it'd be best to bring this conversation back up. Have many requests for dust control on wall, well, handful of requests for that, calls about dust. Talking with the mayor about it, and then have a conversation again. And if you guys want to do dust control, realistically, start construction of wall. Plan to. Don't see it happening, so their dust control. Find if you go down. But many times, it rains, so get sloppy quick, especially if you like it days or a substantial amount. If you're not having a bunch of rain, like right now, thunder rain, then it holds up. But
Like, what's the?
it cuts back on how much we go blade the road, unless we blade the road. More often we blade the road, dust control starts going away. So, because it gets mixed. So,
How, if they laid, dust control, and let's say they did it tomorrow. Like, how many days does it need, like, not rain?
no, it's just. Whatever.
You actually let the road before you take dust control down or something.
Hold
No,
on, let's
but
do
you're
this.
saying that if it rains,
She just
Once
wants,
you put it
Like-
down, that dust control, as long as it's there, it doesn't get kind of worn out per se.
yeah,
Then anytime it rains, that the conditions of the road could be jeopardized. Like, it
okay,
could be
so there's
sloppy.
not like a limit
You
between
could-
like
yeah.
laying it, okay, and then,
And then the more we blade the road, say we go to maintain the road to get the ruts out or washboard out, then that mixes it up again. And, over time, say we don't have a bunch of rain and we blade it a handful of different times, then the dust control fades away its effectiveness. It's just very
how
valuable.
often are we blading the road?
Once a week,
We go out
every
there once a week,
Friday
every
or
Friday.
Thursday, once a week.
I know it's a lot more than it used to be.
Okay. Well, then, since you live out there, can I ask your opinions? Do you
Yeah.
want dust
Mary
control?
Beth
Do you not
Collins.
want dust control? Cause it sounds like it's kind of a double whammy.
Oh, we're desperate. We are desperate.
So you're okay with the rain possibly making it
Yeah.
mushy and you're okay with
It makes
the,
it mushy. It makes people slow down. I don't know why you're fixing the washboard. Sarah had said to me about speed bumps on it, and it's like, no, you can't do that. But leave it washboarded. The speed limit right now, according to make the dust go down, is 15.
well, then you have people complaining about the washboard, cause then they're saying that it's,
You're gonna have complaints, no
Yeah.
matter what option you
so
choose.
since we are not able to do construction this year, we have to do something.
I
I mean,
agree.
it's kicking this can down the road is not an effective alternative right now. We have to do something. Have
Hey,
we looked
Jeff.
into, yep, go ahead, Corey.
Okay, so my take on this is, that's why I brought this on the agenda tonight. It is very dusty and it is getting worse, okay? We were trying to see if this road was gonna get worked on this year. It, like Brenton had said, it won't be the way it's looking, or it'd be a very slim chance. So, we need to do something. And being nobody seems to drive the speed limit as 15 miles an hour. If you did, there wouldn't be dust all over the place, but nobody seems to do that. So I'm going to recommend to the council that we spend the money and put that chemical down. And I know the roads are going to turn to rubbish when it rains. But again, I think just to keep the dust under control, because it's not fair for the people along the road there to have to deal with that on a constant basis now, when we know we're not going to be able to do anything with the road this year. I was reluctant to do it beforehand because I didn't know if that was going to change how we were going to have to do the road with that chemical on it, but I'm not so concerned about that now. So I would just recommend that we get on with it, try and get that chemical down this week, and try and keep that dust under control for everybody. So that's my take on it.
Okay. Jim, is that feasible with options?
We'll try.
Okay.
Where that's at.
What chemical are they gonna use? Are they gonna use the oil or are they gonna use you want the calcium chloride and not the oil from, was it beets or something? Soybean oil?
Soybean oil.
Soybean oil.
It all depends on availability right now, this time of year. But there is usually a limited allotment. Or I guess whatever can be found. The past has been a chloride.
Great.
And what's the application process? How often does it have to be applied?
Typically not that often.
Okay.
It's just.
We'll just
that road
monitor
gets
then?
a ton of traffic, so.
Right.
I would anticipate once. I mean, there has been, when it was used as a detour, I think it was applied twice, or three times. But typically it's done about every other year. It's not very often. It just holds itself, but that road sees so much traffic that it just gets pounded on your pumping inside or something.
I think it's the lesser of two evils. I mean, I think as washboardy, that's too bad. We have to get the dust under control.
Okay. So we're gonna be looking for a motion then. Go ahead, Sarah.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I was on that road just before I left and it was getting pretty bad and I hear Mary there. So I'll go ahead and make the motion to get the dust control chemical product, the chloride product down ASAP.
Got a motion?
I'll second.
Okay. Got a motion and a second. Any other further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
I
Okay, all those opposed? And motion passes. Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I
sir.
have a question. Is wall east of the river going to get done this year, Jim, or is that going to be on hold too? I remember you told me you didn't think it was next year.
It'll be a next year.
That'll be a next year, but thank you.
Do you think we should get a notice out to residents about status?
I think a statement should be put together by staff. Yeah.
Okay.
Just on the website, since those have been pretty popular projects.
Yep, okay.
All right, so we got number 9, Lucas, that is yours.
Yeah, so this one's just an update to let the council know that, I mean, you guys already approved the resolution directing assessments to be levied for this project, so that doesn't need to be on there, but just for an update, the Special Assessment Commission will be meeting to discuss the assessments for that project, sanitary sewer improvement district number 2018-1.
Okay,
So that's
that was the one from last year that we just tabled from last year. No, okay. So we're looking for action on that?
no action. No.
Oh, that's a mistake. Okay.
What we were planning to do is.
Okay. All right, moving on to number 10. 10, Lucas, I'll let you take that one and then I'm sure you'll get her input later.
Yes, Mr. President, this one is another request, the second request for an extension in the time to move that home. The ISR Homes has contracts to work with Schmidt and Sons house movers to get that house moved. They have failed to get a permit from the city to actually move that house, so it has a delay in getting the house moved. Schmidt and Sons didn't get a permit from the city to move the house. but now they did. So, the permit has been obtained from the city to move the house to the adjoining lot. The old foundation is broken up, reinstalled or back in. Not enough time for the concrete to cure, for them to do that if they try to get it done now, so they need an extension, a 30-day extension to get that done. But Ms. Lang is here, the attorney for ISR Homes. He informed me last week that Schmidt's actually were on site putting in the beams to get the house moved. So they'll start that work. And it shouldn't take them too many days. Said one, it might take more, but to the next and get that work done. But hopefully it can be all done, not be cured. So the request for a 30-day extension,
The hold up getting the permit.
they just didn't do it.
Oh, I'm Katrina Lang. I represent ISR Home. So, obviously we don't have control over what Schmidt and Sons does, but I know that they went to start, I believe it was 2 Fridays ago, and they were shut down because they did not have a permit. So they went and got the permit. And ISR Homes also has the new permit to get going as soon as the house is lifted. So I just spoke with John Schmidt today, and they have the beams in and the holes cut in the house to lift it. So he's hoping tomorrow and latest Wednesday to have that moved over to the neighboring lot. And then the concrete contractor believes it'll take about 10 days to rip the old foundation out and get the new foundation in and cured until the house can be back on. So we're hoping for more of a 8/15 timeline. But if there are delays, if it rains, I didn't want to have to come back again and ask for another extension. So I think it would be, realistically 8/15, but just in case, we would like to the end of the month.
Discussion?
Hey, Jeff, this is Corey.
Go ahead, Corey.
What I was gonna say is, when I talked to Lucas about this earlier too, I'm not real happy that we're having to do an extension here, but I will say that I'm all right allowing it this time. But this really needs to be done by the end of the month. Otherwise, we're gonna go to other means. So, I think they have a course platted here now. I know there was some delays and there were some other extenuating circumstances here as well, but I think we're affording them another 30 days. It'll be all right to get this all put together and back the way it's supposed to be. So I'm in favor of granting them this 30-day extension.
I
Thank
agree.
you.
I just want to see stuff get done. I mean, whether it's this project or any other project for the city, I just want to see something accomplished. So I don't have a problem with it. Sarah?
No, I completely agree with Corey. I'm less than thrilled to hear about an extension, but provided they can get it done in the next 30 days, I have no further issues.
Okay. Naomi?
Yeah, the family needs to move on. Like,
Is that family still going to be living in this house, or did they find
No,
another
The
resident?
family has purchased another house and
Okay.
moved into
That's
their other
good.
house.
Okay.
that makes me feel a little bit better because
Okay.
that's kind of a.
All right, so I'm gonna look for a motion to approve the extension for ISR Homes.
I'll go ahead and make that motion, Jeff. Let's give them another 30 days and get this thing put to bed.
Okay, I'll second it. Any other further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. And all those opposed? Okay, motion passes. Moving on to number 11, that's Jim Dahlman.
Yes, Mr. President, Water Sewer Storm Street Improvement District number 2018-3, Taylor Gardens Edition. First edition, final payment with the patching. Bids were received by the city on Thursday, July 28th, 2022 for that project. Received bids from 3 contractors, Border States Paving, FM Asphalt LLC, and Home Improvement Company. On the low bidder was FM Asphalt on both sections. FM Asphalt had a bid on the Terra Guard position of $229,384.40 and $51,319.50 for section 2, which is in miscellaneous street patching. Engineer's estimate for section 1 was $322,829, $46,430.50 for section 2. So a little bit high on, the engineer's estimate was a little bit high on section 1, and a little low on section 2, and balanced out. So with that being said, I recommend awarding the construction contract out from asphalt for both sections 1 and 2, the amount of $280,603.90.
Okay, discussion? Nope. Okay, I'll look for a motion to approve.
All right, I will make a motion to,
FM Asphalt.
yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the water, sewer, storm, and street improvement district number 2018-3 to bidder FM Asphalt,
Section 1 and section 2.
section 1 and section 2.
I'll second.
Okay, so I got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, opposed? Motion passes. Moving on, number 12, Jimmy got this one again.
I do. Water, sewer, storm, and street improvement district number 2021-3, their 3rd edition rebid. Bids were opened on their 3rd edition on Thursday, July 28th, 2022. They received bids from 4 contractors, KPH, Master Construction, Dakota Underground, and Northwoods. Bid tabulation was attached to your memo. The low bidder was, this project was bid in two with an alternate. So the base bid was for asphalt streets and the alternate was for concrete streets. Get that going first. The low bidder for the base bid was KPH Fargo with a bid of $1,728,790.55. The low bidder for the base bid and alternate was Master Construction of Fargo with a bid of $1,880,906.50. The engineer's estimate was $1,754,912.50 for the base bid and $1,916,182.50. So much closer this time, although it is more than what it was last time we reached the bid. Public Works, Project Management, and Engineering have reviewed the bids and recommend awarding the base bid and alternate concrete streets Master Construction. So the difference between the asphalt and concrete is under $200,000. It was exactly, I take it back, $125,994 to go concrete streets versus asphalt.
And that's a decision that the city can make, right?
So the way we did it was, like I said, there's a base bid, which is everything, including asphalt streets. There's an alternate for everything minus the asphalt streets plus concrete streets.
Okay.
So it can be awarded either way. We have done this in the past. Versus the Boulevard was one. We did it both as an asphalt and a concrete alternative. And the city at that time accepted the concrete alternatives. North up by Southwood Farms, that major east-west road is concrete.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, discussion. Anybody?
Well, it seems like it's not too much of a difference in the scheme of things to go with concrete.
No, and
Probably
I
the
talked with him
choice.
about it.
Okay, I just.
No,
guess-
I tell you what, guys, when we're that close in the numbers between asphalt and concrete, it's a pretty big no-brainer if we have the capability and if it is going to be a, fairly major thoroughfare. I mean, if it's a small residential neighborhood where you're not going to have a lot of traffic, I'd say you might want to consider the cost savings. But when you've got a fairly significant development, it makes sense to go with the concrete. So just a little background information there. I personally favor the concrete just because we won't be having to do as much maintenance on it. And that saves us money in the long run, far more than the difference between the bid on the asphalt and the concrete. So in the long run, it actually saves the city some money.
This is.
And I'll go along with that, Jeff, just backing that up. If we've got an option to go with the cement versus asphalt, and there's not that much of a price difference, which is the case here, I would recommend we go with the concrete because of the maintenance schedule. Much better than asphalt.
Okay,
And the developer's on board with you,
Yeah,
because I suppose that raises the assessments.
Special assessments,
Yeah, okay.
This is all benefited to the.
Yeah.
Nothing regional outside of the bounds of his subdivision.
Okay.
any other discussion? If not, I'll look for motion.
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
To approve the bid to master construction,
Base bid plus alternate.
the base bid plus the alternate bid to master construction for street and water, sewer, storm and street improvement district 2021-5, Arrowwood third edition.
Okay, I got a motion, I got a second.
I'll second that, Jeff.
Yep. Got a motion and a second. Any other further discussion? And if not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed? Okay, motion passes. Moving on to number 13, once again, it's Jim.
Yes, the city solicited quotes for manhole lining along Northwood and Southwood Drive. We sent quotes to 2 contractors. This is a rather specialty item, specialty work. Received 1 back from Innovative High Performance Coating. Pretty standard affair when it comes to the manhole coating. It's a polyurethane coating. It's been used around the city, and it's been used on all of our force main to gravity main high gas animal areas. Their quote was for $29,549.40. We budgeted for this year, we had $30,000, so my recommendation would be accept the proposal in the Innovative High Performance Coating in the amount of $549.00 for manhole lining, and there's 4 repairs too. That's the bottom of it.
Can you just speak a little bit to the process and the reason why it happens?
Yep. So sanitary manholes have sewer gas in them, nitrogen sulfide. And most of the time they're constructed out of brick or precast concrete. These are all precast concrete, so they're relatively decent shape. But every 4 feet there's a joint. That joint tends to leak water. There are some leaky joints in this area, in this part of the world. So what happens is the contractor goes in, they inject a grout for those joints to seal up that infiltration, because you don't want to treat clear water in your lagoons or send it to Fargo to have it treated. So they go in, they grout that, and they coat the inside of that manhole that protects it from any gases. It stops any infiltration with the flow coming in to those. It also seals up the adjusting rings on the top. So the top of the manhole's got 2-inch adjusting rings that are just placed on there with a sealant in between. This seals them up from the inside, so that and it prolongs the life of the manholes.
Okay.
It's like putting a Linex bed liner in a manhole. That's what it looks like when it's done.
Any other discussion? Okay, I'll look for a motion for approval.
I will make a motion to approve sanitary sewer manhole lining. I say. Or septic quote. I'll make a motion to accept the quote for the manhole lining. Sorry.
I'll second that. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? And motion passes. Okay, Jim, number 14.
All right.
Cub Creek.
Next project is Water Sewer Storm and Street Improvement District in 2022-11, Cub Creek Second Edition. We have before you tonight, and what you should have been provided was a link to the engineering report provided by the developer by our office. This is a rather extensive project. This is an extension of the Cub Creek First Edition. Down in the end. So this is, south of the current Cup Creek addition, north of Wall Avenue, and west of 63rd Street. 63rd is a road that's currently under design on the west side, but it is completed. It's on the east side of the school. So what you've got there is on the left, as you look at it, is 63rd Street. You see drain 27 running down the middle, and then on the right is Veterans Boulevard or 57th Street. This is a master plan for the entire area. Most part, it's all what they're proposing to develop in the next year. So the report is a pretty standard engineering report. It talks about the existing conditions, talks about the proposed improvements. It's going to come of that. So 23, page number 23 here gives you a little bit more of a precise area versus this area plan for that meeting area, because that includes Cup Creek first. That's up at the top, it's a quarter of the top left. Right there.
Slow here.
Talks about the potential benefits to the projects. The district boundary has already been set for this project. There are regional benefits. So this report does identify some of those regional benefits, and it has a first run through of the benefit methodology and what is received as far as benefit. It's a very large project, like I said. The estimate is right around $20 million. And right now, the developer is planning on bidding it this fall, maybe starting it this fall, but probably starting it next spring, completing it next year. So there's a lot of information in this report. I'll have a link to it. Does anybody have any questions on it? It's pretty straightforward. It's pretty much just includes everything that most of our engineering reports have. So there is some concern. The total project cost of $20,250,000. Pretty big project for the state of Horace to take on. The biggest one to date. So right now, kind of give you an idea, Southdale Farms 4th and 5th is around that $14 million. But that was also done. This would break the 20 eventually. So.
Does this include the ponds?
Yes.
Portion, a good portion of it.
There's,
It's completing the 3 ponds you see on the.
295,000 yards of farmlands.
And do the crosswalks end up with the speed tables?
We talked about it, yeah. That'll be fleshed out in the design of it, but yes, we had talked about, especially on 83rd. So this project has, so there's I'm left-handed with a delay, so real. So there's a drain 27 crossing here. City is working with the Water Resource Board about the connection between dedicated veterans and so. Right now it's travel section. So. Wall Avenue. Pretty extensive. But
There's a regional.
there are regional components, yep. And that's something that we have not run this project through the policy yet. That is something we're going to do, but this doesn't set anything in stone as far as what it is going forward. This is a report proving general concept, the cost of it, that we can now move forward with the design. Put it up for bids. But once the design is complete, we can narrow this estimate down some. And right now, there's.
What if we don't like that? What if we don't, I mean, what if we agree to this and then down the road, we have this regional assessment and then.
So you're not agreeing to that yet. So what we're doing is the preliminary phase of it. So this will be put out for a bid.
I know, but it's kind of locking you into a regional assessment.
But you've already created that boundary.
The
Yeah.
boundaries already been created and the pond, the land for those ponds was already purchased with the first time saying did the regional approacher. So the city, the very north pond of the three to the right or to the east there, half of that one was constructed. But all the land, or a third of it, and all the land for those three ponds was secured with that first regional assessment. Now it's just digging them all out, getting them to where you. But for the stormwater. And it does connect the properties to the west feed into this.
So they didn't get assessed yet,
They have been assessed for the first round.
and they're aware that there will be.
So all the existing homes in Cub Creek are where they're gonna be included in this large assessment district.
For the regional interest.
And they know that. They
So
knew that.
storm sewer is a very good regional, because Horace in the past has had storm sewer management done on a individual subdivision basis.
Yeah.
And what we've got, or what the city has, is some ponds that are basically swamped. They just don't have the flow in them to maintain water quality, they don't have the depth in them to make anything, they're just basically swamps. We've actually gone through and dug out one of them in 2018, and it was just locked in the bottom. And the city, Public Works has tried dyeing that pond, they've tried filtering the pond, because there's a bunch of duckweed and everything else. So regionalizing the storm sewer makes the most sense. You capitalize that you can get, if you look at the Cub Creek Pond, it's probably one of the quick ponds that Horace has, it's just.
It is the best condition.
And at the time, the desire of the city council was to have that pond network along Drain 27 to be a feature, kind of a draw to that area. So this is a continuation and using these lands. So if you're gonna have that land, that big of a pond, you have to start over like 400 from there to fill those ponds.
So
Who manages the maintenance of the ponds? It looks like one of them was gonna be a fishing pond. So who takes over the maintenance? The city does. Has there been any evaluation about what cost increase are involved in that, staff time, and we already struggle?
The ponds are main expense, or main issue or cost there is really mowing around those ponds. That's the main thing we have. As for long-term exact costs, we only have long-term exact costs of every pond.
Do these ones have fountains in them or not?
We're looking at, so there's, in the south end there's an inward pipe, or pipe that comes into that. Preliminarily, there should be enough flow in there to keep that water quality without maybe needing.
Okay.
Looking at.
I was looking at, where are we hooking up electric to? What property do we own to hook up electricity to it to run a fountain? And my follow-up question then is land dedication. For a project this size, what was the land dedication and how much?
Dedications, right?
Okay. And is it at the old rate still that, every developer just doesn't blink at, writing a check?
Yes, the rate is fairly low for cash and move. I know we've asked Gibbles Webster to look at that with the land use ordinance, or we may be bringing an update for a resolution to council in the near future for that. That's for city land and park district land. The city owns this pond.
Yep.
Park district has land here up to the southwest. These three ponds and the land around the blue shades, you can see the lots up there, if you can see where the lots are. Here, here, say you would own all the land where the pond is on, and then some, where you can see a little bit of strip of white going along that too. So we are able to access these ponds. I believe they're planning on a path along here too. It's part of that development. And then I believe this land right here is parks also. So there is public facility, or public land here, so city and parks both have land, but dedications occurred on this plat right in this area here for the park district. I'm understanding.
Okay, so with that said, Brenton, I'm gonna jump in here with a couple comments. Number one, something that I've beaten to death and I'm gonna continue beating to death. Anytime that we have a park or a public facility close by a pond, we open ourselves to the liability of a small child getting into that pond. I want some thought put into the design process about how we either segregate the park or segregate the pond so that we can limit our liability in the event that some small child decides that they're going to go and swim or explore the pond. Pumps are a good idea. Try to keep that water clear and try to minimize the amount of geese that are in this area. The geese crap in this area is exorbitant right now. We need to make sure that we're paying attention to what we do to accommodate the natural wildlife. Also in the design phase, I don't want to see natural grasses in Cub Creek 2. Cub Creek 1, it turned out ugly. It's a mess to maintain, and eventually it's going to be replaced. So, Jim, please make a note if this does pass that I do not want to see, and I believe that the rest of the council will agree, those natural grasses are a nightmare to maintain. Get rid of it.
Yep.
Are there any improvements to Wall Avenue in the project? So the way it currently, it's gravel. It's gravel up there.
It will be asphalt as part of the third yard. Yeah. So that'll be the end of this year, that'll be asphalt. To
The end of Terra Gardens.
about, it's almost right to the, I think it's to that end.
Up to here, or this area here.
And who's paying for that?
That's part of Terra Gardens.
Terra Gardens, there it is. Similar to Prairie View.
Has there been a traffic study completed for this?
There has not that I'm aware of. There has been stormwater, sanitary, and some other stuff. I've done a traffic study.
Okay. Well, I guess if I can make a few comments on it, I mean, it's going to be, it looks like it's slated for 214 homes available next year. They're all high density. And almost all of these homes are south of 83rd Avenue. And all of this traffic's funneling to Wall and then over to Cass 17. There's nowhere else for it to go. Veterans will offer nothing for this in the foreseeable future is my understanding.
We'll go to 76.
When? At some point in future, you mean?
Probably by the end of this year, before this develops
Veterans?
online. Well, no,
You take 63rd to.
you
Yeah.
take, you can take 63rd up to 76, and 76 traffic control.
So,
63rd is a high volume. It's pretty late.
so we already have 120 high density homes going in the Lakeview addition, which is just north and west of here. Now we're putting 214 more homes down in this corner. And there's very little access to the north. It's all, to me, it's all going to go to Wall and over to Cass 17. I mean, does the city really need 214 more high density homes in this area with very little road infrastructure to support it?
So it sounds like you're directing us to do traffic analysis.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, you look at this. That's a lot of density and a lot of volume down there. It's a massive project. And what is the future for veterans or a timeline? I mean, I realize it's probably way out there. So we're just running all of it down. It's hard for me to support it. I mean, we're running it all down Wall, which is a small road, and on Cat 17, I'll be honest, it's real hard for me to support it because of that. I mean, we just talked about the 5 apartment buildings we're putting in, to be honest with you. I think this is a worse traffic nightmare than the apartments that I posed last meeting. So those are my thoughts.
So I want to point out really quick here, 63rd Street is not a little street. 63rd Street, and where traffic could go 76. And also the other thing is, a lot of these roads, a lot more traffic than what, County Road 17, for example. You look at like, they're MetroCog, and they do their analysis of the level of service for the roadways. County Road 17 can have a ton more traffic on that road than what it sees now.
Physically.
It can handle it as
Yeah.
level of service. If you look at other streets like Cheyenne, for example, from 40th to 52nd, that's a 2-lane road. The amount of traffic that road handles, and they have, West Fargo has a lane. So it's all in what is somebody used to for traffic. But as for the roads and can they actually function and take the traffic, they can. It's a matter of, we have alternative ways for people to go. And that's something that, like, with considerations of 63rd Street, for example, veterans in the future, the city did a corridor site for Veterans Boulevard, partnership with the county and Fargo. There's not a definitive timeline of when veterans would go, but obviously you prove it when you have
Correct.
uses for it, but 76 being approved and paved, you're going to probably see quite a bit of traffic going on 76. When that does go online. If Fargo has that connection 52nd to 60 this year, we'll see traffic out there this winter.
I could see if 76 was the overpass interchange, but it's not.
But
And 63rd, I mean, there's a windy road accesses to get all the way up. People are gonna take the last path of least resistance. It's just my opinion.
I do have a question. I'm gonna pose this a different way, hypothetical. Let's say that the construction work on 17 is not completed on time because of delays for box culverts. How does that throw a wrench into being able to support traffic for this? Because this project will be coming online with homes as far as new people adding more traffic that we may not be able to handle.
I don't think it'll come online until giving them 20.
Which this,
by the time you have new homes in
It's a
there.
big project. You can be building in there in 23, but it'll be early, late 20, maybe even 20, get people in there.
Yeah.
So just as a comparison, I was looking at the ADTs here on the DOT's website. So right now, north of 64th Avenue on County Road 17, the average daily traffic is 6,400. So that, the County Road 17 is moving 6,400 cars on average. Go up closer to the roundabout, it's 7730. So just south of the roundabout, 7730. So if we go back to just south of 57, that roundabout, south of 50. So if we go down to south of the Horace roundabout on 76th Avenue, north of Mall, 4,100. So there's almost double traffic north of there on the same street section, the same road width. And there's some backups at times, don't get me wrong. But that's kind of the way some of that too works. Certain times of the day, it's a little longer than it is at other times. So everything is based on a level of service, and there are acceptable parameters within them. So I honestly would say that this really attracts them. Just because of the limitations at 76, the limitations that Wall Avenue have. Like you said, meandering through Lakeview. Next thing is tendencies too. What is gonna be the tendency of those people? Are you gonna wanna go north to 76, they wanna go south to 60, the 88, their wall. And half and half distribution. Somebody go this way, somebody go that way. If you ask somebody, they'll tell you, they take the path of least resistance, but then if you assess a borough, they say they never drive on it. So.
And the current traffic study that was done within the previous area, it wasn't actually done with 5 apartment buildings in mind, but I realize it was done with an evaluation of a little bit lesser density than that. And that was adding 7,000 trips a day to the infrastructure on 76th and Cass. That's a lot. If we have 4,100 now and we're adding 7 just for that little section there. It's concerning to me.
And that's assuming everybody goes north on, say, on 17.
Exactly.
It's not a distribution split of some of the north, some of the south.
That's
It
true.
gets into that. So even if you
Yep.
say half will go north, half will go
Yeah.
south.
Yep.
You're kind of in that same area.
So those are my concerns.
So when you said $20 million, is that $20 million from when we first saw this project, or is that today's numbers?
That is today's.
Okay.
So the one thing I did want you to look at was there are some alternatives that are presented in this, and I'd be curious on your opinion since we're talking about this one. So this is on 82nd Avenue, and that's south of the pond. Be the mid-mile crossing for the city of Horace over to Veterans. 83rd, yeah. So this area, this one here, this is the Cub Creek Pond that's already in. This is Green 27 here. So this is kind of loosely defined as a collector, be it a neighborhood or a mixed-use collector. Probably follows the line more with the neighborhood than the other. So the first one that is on here is a standard roadway, 41 feet back to back, so it's back curb to back curb. So that's 2 driving lanes and an 8-foot parallel parking. That was brought up as an option because the comp plan does state there would be parking along. The other option that was proposed is that, so that was what we just showed you was west of the drain. This is now east of the drain, so pretty straightforward. The other option is some diagonal. Now, there is some diagonal parking out in Meadowlark Park area of Lost River, but this is gonna be potentially a park. And it could be a park of some splash pad that we floated there. I don't know if that's still in the plans or not, but the ability to have some parking along there. And I'm kind of curious what your thoughts are on this diagonal, either drive-in or back-in type of diagonal parking. We haven't really had that discussion before. Parking usually just can't park anywhere for us, but now we're trying to accommodate some of that. So anyone care to venture an opinion on?
So that parallel public park is not going to have off-street?
This would be part of it, yeah. There's not a lot of land there, to be honest, as far as off-street parking. There's some in the planning documents for it, but it depends on what they're going to do with it as well.
I'm extremely partial to the diagonal parking alternative. Parallel parking presents its own challenges, especially with snow removal and whatnot. Diagonal parking can be a little more easily managed, and it gets the parking off of the main street. I mean, it's still there, but it's a little more accommodating. That would be my preference if I were looking at an alternate there.
So we talked about raised pedestrians, and I'm assuming at this intersection here, we talked about maybe these here tables of some sort, but you go west of Costco, the whole intersection is raised. That would be a candidate here. There would be no cross street parking. We're trying to funnel and channel people. Appropriate crossings versus just a free for all at every intersection. Try to get people to go to where the provisions are for pedestrian crossings, so.
Well, that's something, Jim, that I'm actually bringing up, at the end of our meeting tonight. But to foreshadow it a little bit, I want a little more forethought put into pedestrian crossings, because I sat with two children trying to cross County Road 17 at a 4,000 volume, and they could barely get across County 17 just to get back home from the schools. And if we are looking at expanding the volume going in either direction up to 76, which goes right in front of the schools, or up 17 down Wall, either way, we need to have some dedicated pedestrian crossings with some very bright striping if we're looking at an acceleration or an increase from 4,000 to 7,000 plus vehicles. That's something I feel strongly about.
I personally would like to see a traffic study. I don't know what the rest of you think.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm just really nervous about this scope. It's a lot, and I'm, kind of gives me like a knot in my stomach a little bit, just looking at it. If I can just say how I'm feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you.
I'm just, I'm a little overwhelmed at the scope of
It's
this
a really
project.
impressive.
So currently, right now, Brenton, what are we sitting at for all of the projects rolled up for special assessments? What is our current?
Current debt.
Yep.
And specials. That sounds like we're around 100.
So this is a fifth of that.
It's a
one
big,
project.
I won't discount this one bit. It's a big project.
I mean,
It's a
I
very
even sit
big
here and
Project, and
wonder.
if we were to move forward with the project of this size and nature at all in one shot, obviously, we're going to be, we're already pretty strict about, that letter of credit doesn't go into the bonding typically until you have a letter of credit backing it. Now you have a letter of credit backing a good chunk of that project.
But remember, we
but
did decrease
It's,
that.
yeah.
65%.
And so we'd have a total amount of bonded debt just with this project, if we added it, of 100 and, you said we have 110 right now?
It's in that ballpark. I
Okay.
believe.
And that, but there's other projects too, right?
That we have now.
Yeah.
That we've not bonded. I don't know what those numbers are,
Yeah, it's,
but
This
this
is-
seems like
this is a-
really a lot.
is this a big project? Yes, it is.
Is this developer willing to piecemeal this instead of just one big shot?
Question's been posed. This thought was just given for you guys in the future.
Because we have Lakeview rocking right now too, right there, lots of homes going in there.
So you
I kind of
have,
said how I feel about the density.
the one dynamic you do see is, this one. The dynamic you see in Horace is a lot of these lots are going quickly, built upon quickly. Our staff is working on creating a lot of inventory that you can actually really grasp what's going on.
Can I just ask though,
Yeah.
Brent, are those homes, you say they're being like taken up, is that like actual homeowners or is it like another, what am I?
Home builder?
A home builder that's
No.
buying the lots.
They're being built, we're at over 200, around 220.
The home builders are selling these.
The home builders are buying them off the developers and they build them, but
But are we seeing
We're-
people buying from the home builder?
Yeah.
Okay.
now you have some that are rentals. You have
I
some people
understand
build for rentals,
I
but
mean, I guess I've brought it up in the past where I'm really nervous about the amount of homes versus like, and I've never actually seen like, what do we have available? Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
and that's what I was saying, that's what I was
yeah.
mentioning, a lot of inventory we have.
Yeah.
Jason's working on that, we're at Right now, what he told me the numbers are at is right around just under 250 lots that are available. And that's pretty low when you look at likely going to be right around that 250, 100 homes a year. We don't have enough lots for years. We don't have a year's worth of inventory available. Now, when he has that all ready to show council, I want to show council as a group, say, hey, we have this feature, because it's the interactive map, which we're going to, our goal is, our whole goal along is to be able to show that on our website. It helps us, helps for bonding, it helps everybody understand what's going on. It's also come online. So we're going through that now and just not too far away from being able to show that at council, but we don't have, I don't want to show it until we're ready.
Yeah, I understand.
It'd be premature. But like I said, as for total lots available, number he told me today, based on what we have current permits taken out for or applied for, that was current as of today, it's just under 250 lots available still. That's not a lot. Now, like I said, that's not even a year's worth of inventory. Yeah. The other concern there is, yeah, the pressure of the lot inventory for the metro. For the most part, because Fargo doesn't have the buildable area as much. West Fargo doesn't have it either. So you're getting the pressures of home building and growth to our community. Until that diversion is done, the pressures will be on Horace.
But we can still maintain the control of what we want in our city.
You can.
That's
So,
my thought.
yeah.
I don't want to be rushed or pushed by developers or worried about growth or lots from other cities.
Yep.
It's not a huge priority for me.
But just keep in mind with the supply and demand there. You tighten up the supply, and demand is there, costs go up. That makes it where everybody's houses in town go up more too. Because a house, if people can't build a home, then they have to buy existing. If there's existing demand for those to go higher, value goes higher.
I do, yeah.
So it's a slippery slope. But anyways,
Well, I'm really sorry. I don't know how I feel about this project, just because it's just so huge and it's kind of giving me a little anxiety right now, so.
Information about it.
I don't know, really. The amount of the cost of this is really stressing me out, and, if they were willing to maybe like scale it back a little and maybe do like portions. I mean, I don't know how.
Is it- From the developer standpoint, is this a rush to market or is he have time? He said he was wanting to hear what we said first. So from my standpoint, I'm even asking, okay, is he willing to do this in phases where it's not one big chunk?
I can't speak for it, but I understand there's a desire to,
Who's the developer again?
never miss it.
Well, maybe we could just absorb and think about this a little bit longer. Sarah, what do you think?
Personally, I'm not afraid of a project of this size at all. Just because I think that it's something that can be done. I see a lot of opportunity in the master plan with what happens there. And I like the opportunity it brings for commercial businesses to our area, which is a huge plus. With that many people, I think there's some work to be done in the design phases. I think there's some work to be done in regards to the traffic. I don't disagree with that. I think those are all very valid points. But I do think that this is an opportunity, and I'm a little concerned about what the next couple of years are going to look like as far as interest rates and stuff. And I think you make hay while the sun shines. That's my opinion.
Jeff, I'll chime in on that too, just kind of backing up what Sarah said. I am not concerned about the size of this project either. This was going to be something that we've talked about probably for the last couple of years, about getting some more commercial into town. And that's part of what this plan is to get some more commercial property involved in the city as well. And I know there's housing in there too, but there's commercial with it, and that's kind of what we're looking at here too. So again, I'm not concerned about the size. Again, we've got some opportunity here to have some very nice, well-done areas of town for the development. And I think this is one of them. So again, I have really no concerns on that. So.
Steve?
I will also mention that there are some positives federally with some federal funding. We get to certain levels in population that we're very close to. And so those are some of the things that I look at, like what's the greatest return for our city? And I agree. We've got some high density areas, in particular around the schools. This is right in the general vicinity of the schools. It does follow the regional plan. It does follow the master plan. A lot of time and effort was put into the layout. I've been in some of the pre-planning meetings on this, and some of the changes that were requested have been made. Getting across drain 27, making sure that block lengths are something that we're considering. You know, there's a lot of planning that's gone into this that's been behind the scenes that maybe not everybody's aware of, but I can tell you that the best interest of the city is in mind with the commentary that's been made up to this point. I am in no way, shape, or form going to invalidate the traffic concerns. I agree with that. I also agree with some of the concerns regarding how we're going to funnel people, how we're going to build out the rest of this corridor, but that is in the works. Those are things that I've seen preliminaries on, and I'm in agreement with that. We all know how this city looks and feels to people is very important to me and all of us on this council. So size really isn't a deterrent, but I hope that those
I'm
comments
not
bring you.
talking, Sarah, I'm not really talking about the actual size. I'm talking about the cost. I, I get what you're saying, and I agree with you that for the majority of what everybody wants, we're not, everybody has the best interest in Horace in their heart and in their mind. But I am concerned about the cost of this project. I don't know, Jeff, am I being,
You're not being unreasonable, but you're going to be a lot more concerned about cost when our bond rates this year are between 2 and 4%, and our bond rates next year are between 6 and 10.
Yeah, which we hope won't happen, but yes, that's part of the deal right now. We're watching where we're at with the bonding ratings and their percentages.
So let me just ask the question, because maybe I'm misunderstanding when this would be going to a bond rate. It wouldn't happen this year.
The developer has considerations of where we can move the project forward, temp bond it even this year, and they can start dirt work and underground this year and into the winter. Because dirt work you can do throughout a good chunk of the winter. And continue doing that work. By the time you're getting in the summer, then they can be doing roads. So they're trying to get it moving forward. That's what they would like to do.
24
That's what
is
they're
what you're asking.
24 is old.
24 would be when your final bumper.
Yeah, permits.
Kind of what I'm getting at, yeah. Okay.
But, when you're looking at temp bond, they're looking at get moved forward sooner than later, so they can lock in that temp bond rate.
and the interest rates are still probably gonna be.
Well, depends what happens.
I mean, switching gears just a little bit, I mean, is the developer willing to maybe do less density in the development? I mean, we already have a lot of R4 and R6 in the city.
But it's been proved, and this is actually very consistent with the comprehensive plan and the future land use map.
Well, but is it, well, I mean, is
This
there,
this is where the density, the most dense areas of Horace were identified in the comprehensive plan. This is section of land and section of land north.
do we have any current projects where we have less density, like R1, R3? Any current
This
plans?
developer actually is working on a plat that is R2 and R4. That'd be River's Edge second, which I believe has gone through the planning commission.
I'm pretty sure it has.
Yeah.
I would
It has
have somebody on my,
Yeah, I believe it went through planning commission and it's going to become in council in the near future. That one took a lot of, say, negotiating, working with the neighboring subdivisions, Dreamfields and River's Edge. and finding a compromise, council directed developer to go back and work with those neighborhoods. Planning commission has been involved working with that too, and insert feedback from the neighborhoods too. But those lots are, make sure some bigger and some, you know, on average, the average lot size, so Hermitage 2 is bigger than Hub 2. Our developers proposing two or 3 acre size lots, or even an acre. Very few are doing like an acre or bigger. Those lots aren't moving as much. A lot of these lots are moving before the development is even done. Big lots are 7, for example. Those lots are basically all spoken for, they're all sold already, and infrastructure is even done, it's being installed up here, put in now, but it goes underground.
So are we able to ask for a traffic study then?
Yeah. I think we can definitely make that part of it.
Are you acceptable with that, Sarah and Corey?
You're talking about a traffic study then, in addition to what we're talking about here? I mean, I guess I'm okay with that. You want to go there, that's fine.
Sarah?
I have no concerns with that at all. I think that may be a wise plan given the size of the development, and if that brings a little more comfort into some of the design and planning, I agree with that. Yeah.
Okay, so Jim, how do you want us to proceed?
I would recommend approving the engineer's report. The traffic study, that separate of the developer, just so we make sure that we are not just this.
Yeah.
Lakeview, and we've done on this drive portion, St. Benedict Avenue, just the geometry with 17 and St. Benedict's right. This, right, that. Next study. Forward with towards the next resolution. Actually, that just keeps. Want to keep it.
Because if we approve it, then we're approving the plan. I don't know that I'm comfortable with
So
that tonight.
comfortable making a motion on B then? Provided there's a traffic study.
Or do you want to postpone B until you get traffic?
That would be my preference.
Which you could.
Make a motion.
I make a motion to do a traffic study with regard to the Water Sewer Storm Improvement District 2022-11 proposed second edition.
We got a second?
I'll second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye, sorry.
All those opposed? Okay, so we'll not be voting on B and C. We just made a approval for a traffic study prior to us moving ahead with the approving the engineer's report.
Do we need to table these items or how does that work?
Table it to the, how long do you think it's take to?
I would say
2 weeks, next week.
yeah.
Okay, these items B and C for agenda item 14 will be tabled for at least 2 weeks. Moving on, number 15. Jim, oh, excuse me, Lucas.
Yep, so that's a simple one, it's just a second reading of the rezone, which is an ordinance. That's the Lakeview Heights 5th edition, that planned unit development that you guys approved at your last city council meeting. This action item is just for rezone, which change it from commercial to that planned unit. Second reading of that.
Yep, any further discussion? No, I'll look for a motion to approve the second reading. I'll make that motion. I made the motion originally, so, okay, we got a second?
Second.
Yep. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All those opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Motion passes, 3-1. Okay, moving on to 16, that is Jim Dolman again.
All right, so what you have is change order number 3, which balances the construction contract for water sewer storm and street improvement district number 2021-1, Southwood Farms third edition. When these projects are bid, they're bid with an estimated quantity, what it's gonna take to construct the project. Throughout the construction, if something were to come up, there would be a change order either adding or removing from the contract. At the end of the project, we take the as constructed quantities and we balance the contract with those as constructed quantities. So it's not uncommon to have a negative balancing change order. And all that's doing is making sure that the final contract price is the same as what was actually built. So in the case of this project, it decreases, this change order decreases the contract amount by $49,025.40. You can see on the attachment there that there's a breakdown as to why items exceeded their estimate quantities and some of them decreased from what their estimated quantities were. Sometimes there's a little bit of rounding in there, and other times something might come along where they underran or overran. There is such a thing as typical construction deviation, which I think it's like 10%. This is just a document that balances that contract that we have with the contractor to the as constructed one. That kind of a good highlight of the process. It can be negative. It's not like you're taking money back. It's just a matter of administratively balancing it.
Okay. Any discussion? Sarah, any thoughts?
Nope, this is just fine with me.
Okay, I'll look for a motion to approve.
I'll go ahead and make that motion.
Okay, do I get a second?
Yeah, I will.
Okay, Naomi makes a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? All right, motion passes. Moving on to 17, Jim Dolman again.
Next is water sewer storm and street improvement district 2020-3. This is the formal change order adding St. Benedict Avenue project. This was approved in the past. This is just the formality with the paperwork to do it. There was an addition of, I believe, $3,500 for some traffic control that we had that we put change order. So I had this on there as an agenda item, but it's just the formal one that was approved.
Sounds good. Can I get a motion for approval?
Sure, so moved.
Okay, got Naomi with a motion. Anybody else for a second? I'll make that second. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? 17 passes. And moving on to 18, we got Jim Dolman again.
All right. So this one, a little bit more involved. This is for the water project. Change order number 3, increasing the contract loan by $80,374.63 and extending the contract time to October 17th, 2022. So you all should have gotten a copy of the change order and the justification for that. You want me to go through just the Cliff Notes version of it?
Sure.
So the first thing we have for the change order is a unit price increase for bid item number 19. And the way the contract documents are written is that if a unit price or if a estimated quantity exceeds the estimate by a certain amount or is decreased by a certain amount by contract, you can get a unit price adjustment to that item. So that's what happened here. So this is for this is actually for pavement. We talked about this before. Due to oil price increases and fuel costs for hauling. Let's see here. Contractor submitted a breakdown of the year-to-year cost differences for asphalt and fuel. The original contract bid price for pavement replacement was $38 per square yard, including the cost of replacement of bituminous pavement for preparation of subgrade area base course, any necessary traffic control. to complete the work and furnishing all materials, equipment, labor, and incidentals to complete the work specified. To account for the additional costs associated with the oil and fuel equipment, the contract requests an additional $3 per square yard for the paver replacement item, increasing to $30,732. So this has to do with the price of oil. It's the price of fuel oil and the price of asphalt cement. So the contractor did submit pretty lengthy just reasoning as to where they're getting their oil from, how they're getting it, and why there was an increase with that. So any questions on that one? Okay. Second one is for unit pricing, similar to the last.
Can you hear me, Jim?
I can hear you.
Okay, no questions on that one, but I do want to be clear that when we met with the contractor on this, that this change order is cost on behalf of a subcontractor, that the main contractor on this project is not asking for additional funds for labor or anything on their behalf. So I want to make sure that that is stated in this meeting, because that was a concern of mine at the last meeting.
Thanks, Sarah.
Yep.
Okay, so the next one is for cured and replaced pipe. This was worked on by subcontractor. This is another one. This is one where due to the water main back on the other side of 117 being in kind of no man's land when it comes to easements and right of way, that was removed from the contract and added by change order, was putting the water main in the parking lane at 117 and getting the services coming off of the main in the front of the house where it typically is. So this would be an increase of, the original price was $450. 30,000 feet have been deducted for various site reasons to one total quantity reduction of 33.5%. PERPAL has requested the quantity of 2174 due to the reduction being less than 25%, an additional $20.13 per linear foot, which includes prime contracting markup. So this is pretty much a standard contract, standard contract item. This request totals $43,762.62. So pretty straightforward on this one. Existing utility repair and delay. So we've talked about it numerous times that the underground and what's there is not well documented. It's kind of a, hope it's marked well enough that it doesn't get hit kind of a thing during construction. Well, this next one wasn't so lucky. So during open trench water main replacement along Park Drive, contractor experienced unforeseen issues with existing utilities in the area. One occasion, the existing sanitary sewer force main crossed Park Drive at an unknown location, and as a result, the line was struck during excavation. Contractor subsequently performed the necessary fix to the damaged main. This is from lift station 3 to lift station 1. 3 is over on Park and Nelson. All right, Park and Cheyenne. Contractor subsequently performed the necessary fix. On the second occasion, the contractor incurred delay and had to pump extra water than the trench. While coordinating with public works staff to isolate a section of the water main that was supposed to be connected to, they attempted to cut a section off the water main, however, it was pressurized, flooding the hole. Payment will be made on the time and material basis. As submitted a work order with the breakdown that includes the hours and the rates. Work order attached is for $6,240. The next one was a time extension. And time extension for substantial completion of October 10th, 2022 and final completion of October 17th, 2022. Justification for the days, 35 days due to weather in the spring of 2022. The road restrictions didn't come off till basically the 1st of June, so they lost all of April, lost all of May. 15 days for unknown site conditions on Cheyenne Drive. There's a lot of exploratory excavation, a lot of downtime in trying to find some of that old lines along Park Drive and Cheyenne, and then another 15 days for deferring site conditions on Park Drive, similar to that. So we did meet with the contractor, also Light, city staff, myself, and our project manager Eric Larson met with KPH on the 27th to discuss all these outstanding requests, including time extension, and all agreed at that time that these requests would be warranted. So rather extensive change order. I think it's pretty well explained in the attachment, but I think any questions that you have, we are recommending approval.
Okay. Are they actually gonna get it done by October?
Yes.
We actually had a pretty good conversation, Jeff, about that. The hard part will be done here in the next 2 weeks, and they'll be finishing up that west side and then moving over to the east side. They think they'll actually beat this date, but in order to be fair and conservative, on the off chance that they run into on the next segment what they run into on these segments, we discussed this date because I told them point blank I was not going to entertain another extension on this project.
Yeah, so this one gives them enough time then.
So I do want to stress that this is not connection to casserole.
Right.
It's the water line project, so
Yep.
the connection to casserole is to get us the casserole water.
Yep.
This is water. So when this project is done, it does not influence casserole.
Is this the one where we were waiting for some,
No,
that's the casserole connection?
Casserole, we're waiting for the meter bid.
Okay, were we still, were we hopeful that that second part was gonna happen this year or no?
Yes.
We do, there's still a chance for that?
Yeah.
Okay,
And that contractor came in last year and got everything done except for that.
we're just waiting for the brains of
We're waiting
the
for the
vault.
to be
As soon as the vault comes, they dig a hole, set it in there, plumb it up, and test everything, and then
Any update on the,
nothing, hasn't been delayed yet.
okay,
Again,
Yeah.
positive. I say that now, I'll get an email tomorrow, but
Okay, any other further discussion?
do we have any concern about how the additional overage is paid for? I mean, I know we had some granting funds and in different ways that we're paying for this project.
so so this is a pipe replacement project, and remember that, because if you drive these roads and look forward, you just can't do the whole roadway with a pipe replacement project.
Yep.
It's very specific in the funding. We were lobbying the State Water Commission. Get it? That was a specific question by one of the State Water Commission members. Well, this isn't a pavement replacement job, is this? No, there's a set width that they have to be at. So right now, we're underrunning that width. We had 12 feet planned, down to like 9 feet, knowing that there's gonna be there's some potential in there, and there's no reason to go to that full flow, you don't have to. So we're trying to be conservative on that and balancing some of these items internally within the project by underrunning the pavement, maybe overrunning something else. It kind of balances out more, but we're kind of capped with the State Water Commission right now, but we're still, we had some contingency built into that. And I'm not 100% sure where we sit with that right at the moment, but we have some built into there.
And the remaining funds are paid for with diversion settlement dollars, and then what we do is have the water fund repay ourselves, pay the city back over time. So it's like we're paying for it through our water rates long-term wise,
Okay,
but the diversion settlement dollars are making it to where we don't have to special assess it out.
Okay.
And then those dollars from the water fund go to the CIP fund, capital improvement program fund. And then in the future, as the dollars grow for that CIP fund, for example, then we're able to use them to match other projects in the future for funding. That's the intentions of it.
okay.
I'm pleased with the discussion I'm hearing, and Jim explained it best, but the concept of the SRF funding was discussed with this contractor, and we did line item out some other items in the contract to see how close we would be. And like Jim said, he still got some looking into it to do, but those are all concerns that were brought up during this meeting. Excellent questions, guys.
Thanks for all your work on it, Sarah.
Oh, you bet.
All right, any further discussion? Not gonna look for a motion to approve.
I was in the meeting. I'll go ahead and make the motion, Jeff.
Yep, I'll second. A motion is second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Hi.
Aye. All right, motion passes. Moving on, number 19, that is Brenton.
Oh, that's my turn. Okay. Pull this up. Okay. Calling item here is a request to waive the penalty and interest for property at 774 Prairie Avenue. Property is owned by an individual named Ryan Thayer. This was one of the properties that was impacted last year, the year before, where there was a reallocation of special assessments on a handful of lots. What happened is that when Terra Garden's second edition was put in, the lots that were for single family homes, their specials are broken out to that single family home lot. So the city had to do a reallocation of the special assessments. This individual purchased this lot with his builder, or the builder did, and then this individual was in the home at the time of when the specials were reallocated on his property. He has been working with the developer and the builder. Developer has paid, this is a different item, or the last second. So, sorry, I don't have the attachment.
Yeah, I was looking for something.
The property owner has been working with the developer. The developer agreed to pay specials for 2020 for for the time period they own the lot. The property owner, the current property owner, the homeowner is trying to work with the builder to pay for specials for the remainder of the year when the home is being under construction. Homeowner is going, I shouldn't have to pay for the specials at all. Payment, I wasn't living in the property. There is a part of penalties and interest. We cannot waive those at the staff level. We need to bring that to the council. Typically, don't waive penalty and interest for homeowners. I believe it has only happened once I've seen that one. I think there's one. I don't have to think those. I know it happens for the park district. It happens for the park district, though, coordination city of park district. Total interest is being requested to be waived is $372. Between interest and penalties, $372.33. So the property owner asked if that could be waived, and he would work with the developers paid off their specials, that lot that they were responsible for. And the property owner is working with the builder, but it said that get that all taken care of as long as the interest is. Basically, their ask is definitely interest be made by the city council. Bring it forward. Also,
So the penalty and interest occurred while the person was not actually living in the home?
my understanding is correct. And it's actually been building since then. Since 2020, the 2020 tax year. So, because it has not been paid, the individual did not pay the specials.
And did they own it during that time, or did the builder own it?
The builder and the developer, my understanding, owned the house, because it was owned by the developer, they sold it to the builder.
The builder was building it.
Builder was building the home. This individual moved into the home in, I believe, 2021. Or in 2021. We did that reallocation of the specials. So it was last summer, probably around this time last summer, we did that.
So this is 1 year of penalties then?
So it's,
Can't he ask them to pay or not?
I was gonna say, I don't understand why the developer and the builder aren't paying for penalties and interest in advance of the homeowner moving in. Why are we being asked to waive this?
I understand, and that's where that we just submit their request. But from the staff side, I typically don't recommend having that paid off by the city or covered by the city, but
I would feel like that should be a conversation between them.
if you don't pay your property taxes, your specials, pay it with penalty and interest.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I'm not inclined to be in agreement with this. the developer, the builder, and the homeowner need to get on the same page, and the homeowner needs to talk with the developer and the builder, and they need to pay off a balance that they owe so that he can pay his balance that he owes. And I don't believe that the city needs to be involved in this. I'm open to discussion from the other council members, but I don't agree with this.
I'm just curious as to, at what point did they realize there was going to be, you know, obviously a missed payment and penalty? And why is it coming to us now, almost 1 year later, I think is,
This individual has been trying to work with the developer for about a year.
Okay.
And really since this all occurred. He has been trying to work with that developer, and developer just recently agreed to take on the portion that he would be responsible for. So they've been going back and
Should be
forth.
responsible for the interest.
Honestly, from a staff perspective, I see it as the rare occasions when you have a waiver of interest, penalty and interest is typically when it's government entity to government entity. That's typically when we'd see it happen. There are other occurrences that do, as that it's all at the council decision.
so realistically though, we really shouldn't be involved. This is more of a, he needs either, from the dollar amount, it's a small claims court issue, is what I'm getting at.
I mean, I feel bad that he's embroiled. I feel bad that our residents embroiled with this, but I don't know that it's something the city can really address. Or should address.
The city could, it's just a matter of, do you feel it's.
You're setting a precedent.
To do so.
Yeah, I think I would like to just make a motion to decline this request, the 2022 penalty and interest waiving,
2020.
I'm sorry, 2020.
Okay, we got a motion. Do I got a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so we got a motion, and a second to decline the request for waiver of penalty and interest. Any further discussion?
Nope.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all those opposed? And motion is declined for, or the motion passes to decline the waiver of penalty and interest.
Sorry, Ryan.
And that was, staffer indicating that it was, would recommend that there.
I hope he can get with the developer and then the developer or the builder will make it right.
Yeah.
I feel bad that he has to be embroiled in it.
Next item?
Okay, so next item is number 20 on the agenda, vac trailer purchase. Brenton, you got this?
Next item here, this item that we budgeted last year, put money aside for it within our equipment reserve fund. If you recall, well, we budgeted for it this year, so we budgeted for it to do it this year, and last year, we put money aside last year. Last year, I believe it was around 50 or 55,000 that we actually put aside in addition to what was budgeted for this. It does come in under budget, it's my understanding. We have received this quote here for a vac trailer. Vac trailers are used for basically digging in sensitive areas, like where you have fiber wire lines, and they'll do what's called like potholing, where they'll put the hose up to the ground, shoots wire down, eats it all up into it. But it won't cut the line. Very helpful when we're trying to locate or when we're trying to areas like fiber line, we have a lot of fiber coming in. The unit, the proposal you see before you is for a 500 gallon vac trailer. 200 gallon fresh water for it too. This is a used unit, has approximately 50 hours on it. We did price out new units too. We had a quote from Amir that came in around 93,000. Had one from Ditch Witch for a new one, which is closer around 80,000. The deal of this is the very low hours, approximately 50 hours on it, and the fact that we can get this piece of equipment fairly quickly can send that ditch witch dealer, and we've been working with them. It said the dollars that are set aside already for this, and council said yes. Go ahead and proceed. However, before we go pull a trigger on an item like that of this nature and that size, I do like to bring it back to council and make sure you are good with that purchase.
Okay, any further discussion?
Yeah, I got a question, Brenton. As a used unit, I see there's a factory warranty until 6/6. We're in August already. That's 2023. Is the dealer willing to extend that warranty to 1 year from the purchase date? I'd like to ask them that if we're gonna move forward with this.
I have no problem asking them.
Yeah, I'd like to see if the
I
1
don't
year.
think they would have a big issue with it, but I can't speak for the deal.
Yeah, would you kindly ask them? I'd like to see a full year warranty on that. While I respect the factory warranty, that 6/6 is just the beginning of our season. I'd like to see it go into August so that we have an opportunity to use it and really get full usage out of it and determine if there's any issues. It's the only question I got. Pretty fair price for the unit.
So how do you want to handle it then? Do we vote to approve it based upon them extending the warranty, or how do you want to handle this?
I have no problem with the approval. I'd like to see it contingent on a full year warranty.
Okay. So would you like to go ahead and make that motion then?
I will go ahead and make the motion to go ahead and purchase the unit contingent on the dealer extending the warranty, not necessarily the factory, but the dealer extending the warranty into August of 2023.
I'll second that.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. This is spending money, so this is a roll call, right?
Yep.
Okay, roll call, Sarah,
Yes.
Naomi,
Yeah.
Stephanie,
Yes.
and Jeff is yes. So that should pass. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So moving on to item number 21, Bank of North Dakota Infrastructure Loan Program.
And I wanted to bring this program to the council's attention because we had an interesting request from a developer last week. The Bank of North Dakota has an infrastructure revolving loan fund, which you'll hear at like League of Cities are referred to a 2% loan program. That loan program is capped at a combined total of $40 million per city. So it can't.
For a lifetime.
Let's see. I believe it's at any given time.
Okay.
But you're capped at 40 million to what you can borrow. And it's a lot of the eligibility for items, really a lot of the infrastructure we have. Talking about water projects, you do state revolving loan fund typically, so SRF. But this could be for non-eligible SRF potentially, or roads or different things like that. Now, this loan program kind of kept it close to our chest per se, because you have that cap, that 40 million. 40 million, as you saw earlier today, can go very, very quickly. We've talked about other projects like Wall Avenue or 66, and eventually County Road 17, we need something, or we need a new water tower, whatever. We have many different projects, and the concern is keeping this program available and those funds available to us when the day does come and interest rates are higher, and you have this program at 2% loan. Hey, you could tackle a infrastructure project of significant need for the community or a handful of projects at that lower rate. Now, we have had requests from a developer of if they could use that to fund the development. From the staff side, I believe there are quite a few concerns from that. The reason why is, one, what would you do then if you exhausted that funding program and then you have another development saying, hey, I want to take advantage, or you have two of them at the same time and there's not enough money. And then what happens then is you have a city project that is, say, has more regional impact. And interest rates are, let's say, at 7 or 8% or something, and they might be there, they might not. Don't know for sure. But that's why I try to keep this available for if or whenever those rates would go up. But I want to be able to respond back to the developer of if council is supportive of using this for new developments, or if not.
Let me chime in here a little bit on this one, guys. This one is one where I am vehemently opposed to doing that, what the developer's asking for, because then it's going to make it look like we're playing favorites. We also have a limited amount of money that can be at our disposal from this Bank of North Dakota. There's a cap at some point, and I don't want to be dipping into that fund unless we have to for other reasons. So I oppose this. So that's my 2 cents.
Okay. Sarah?
I don't disagree. I think that tying up funds on an if is unnecessary at this point in time. So I don't have all the details on the loan program, but we have to treat each entity fairly and have to treat one the same as the next. So for that reason, I too oppose this.
Yeah, Steph?
I agree with Corey and Sarah.
Okay, Naomi?
Seeing.
Okay, all right, so, for our action there, we're probably gonna be looking at a, motion to deny or reject the proposal, use the Bank of North Dakota's infrastructure loan program for private development.
I'll make that motion to go ahead and reject the proposal to use the Bank of North Dakota's infrastructure loan program for private development.
Okay, got a motion, I got a second?
I'll second.
Good. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? None. Okay. Motion's been rejected for agenda item 21. Moving on to 22, preliminary budget and set public hearing date for our budget. Oh goody. Breton.
Like short version or long version?
Short version. It's-
Short
We're
version.
almost done.
I always ask. You pull this up here. I keep it that small, but
You know that I can't see.
okay.
Hence why I'm like this, staring at the,
I did
It's
load this.
not even the right-
I did
not
load
even
this
the
in
right font.
Teams just beforehand, so, tonight, what we're doing is, the main goal tonight is to set the preliminary budget and to, set a public hearing date for the preliminary budget, or for the final budget. So when we set the preliminary budget, what it does is it locks in your mill rate to where you can't go any higher. You can go lower, but you can't go higher. In essence, you basically don't change your budgets any higher. And normally it flush us up quite a bit to where it's typically you wouldn't see a lot of changes in the budget, right? But wouldn't see a ton. Going into this, but so like I said, the goal is to set a preliminary or a public hearing date for the final budget It needs to be set between September 7th and October 7th. So the dates that I'm looking at would be September 20th or October 3rd. We'll go back to that in just a little bit. The goal in mind was taking feedback from council, from our last council meetings, and just what I've had feedback on one from council members on is the goal to keep the mill rate the same, which I put 1.6 million to keep the mill rate the exact same from the county as $1,595,500. However, that number was provided to us a few months ago. I worked with Paul Fracassi from the county to get an update right before that date. So, okay, can I fine tune that anymore? Our goal is to keep the mill rate pretty much the same, and we've been able to do that for roughly 5 years now. Our mill rate has been anywhere from 60.76 to 60.11 mils over the last 5 years. Current mill rate is 60.1. Mill is valued around $26,000. So that gives you an idea what we're dealing with here. Keep in mind, if you were to change the mill rate, let's say you're to lower it, the intentions of lowering with property taxes. There's been an increase in valuations. The mill rate before was valued around $21,000 per mill. So for the calendar year 2022, for a budget year, around 21,000. In order to be able to lower the mill rate per se, for the average homeowner in Horace to see a change, you'd have to drastically lower, not just like 1 or 2 drastic lowering, but then you would also sacrifice quite a bit of service in the city by doing so. Also, you can't speak for other taxing entities, so we make up about 20% of some of the property owners' taxes. School district makes up around 50%. County makes up around 20%. And forest fire parks make up remaining amount. So our goal, when we put in for revenues, like I said, is to try to keep the property tax levy around the same. I show an increase. First, building permits is just a slight increase. And this is a little different than what I was originally planning. I added in 2,000. Reason why? It's because typically, like this 416,000 that we have in 2020 budget, when I plan that out, I'm calling for new residential growth. I don't factor in the commercial. I see commercial as extra, or to be conservative. I did factor in a very small portion commercial, but we anticipate to have commercial come to 2023 year. This year has shown that we're big commercial. I expect that trend to continue. Our overall vehicle permits have been down. County is fairly lean on their truck deputies, enforcement deputies, and we have seen some impacts on our revenue this year already tied to that. So I budgeted conservative for that. Go down to state aid distribution. State aid distribution, we're on track right now to pull in around $250,000. We budgeted last year at 230. For 2023 budget, I'm recommending 250,000, or suggesting it be 150,000. Projections from the League of Cities shows state aid going up slightly. So I do feel fairly comfortable with that 250,000. I believe we'll probably fall around 60 to 270 estimates from cities, and trends of that stay the same. Franchise fees still at 100,000. Cass County Electric is now effective. Their franchise fee for first customers. With that going live in May, I believe it was, we're starting to see a increase in our franchise fee revenues. I think 100,000 is probably low. I'd rather be low. So what you'll see, like to remind everybody is on revenues, like to try to go low. If we have a hiccup in the likely ones revenues that we would. And then we still have an administrative fee for water and sewer. We charge an administrative fee and a franchise fee to water and sewer also. Overall, it puts the city in the general fund budget $2,558,000, just a little bit over that. Any questions on revenues? I keep these areas of expenses condensed down because you get lost in the weeds quite a bit. Want me to expand on any of these? I'm more than happy to do so. The main items to point out within this, one is big concern from council is law enforcement. Can we get another deputy? Speaking with Sheriff Johnny last week, he indicated to me that in the preliminary budget for the county, they're coming for 2 additional patrol deputy positions. One is part-time Riley's Acres, and part-time City of Hardwood. The other one would be a full-time one for the City of Horace. It was a 3rd deputy. I do believe a 3rd deputy is helpful, and the cost for having a 3rd deputy is a bit more manageable to try. The conditions on that, if it was to be approved within the final budget of the counties, be that they're working towards adding or filling positions. They have vacancies. Isn't their highest priority of the position to fill. They might have it filled come the new year. They might not have it filled until halfway. Might not even. But they would have it budgeted, and we can work towards getting a 3rd deputy present. I have indicated to Sheriff Johnner that if they got a 3rd deputy, if we could have one pick their specialty, truck regulation enforcement would be helpful, given the growth and everything going on. So, it's very difficult to present that to the council for consideration if our contract was slightly different because of that. But that would be something to be determined later. Under salary, staff, benefits, we account for, nobody ever wants to bring up this, it seems like, but we need to is in regards to cost of living. Honestly, inflation is up. Last I saw the consumer price index was right around that 9.1% for the last month, I believe. Federal government, how they calculate COLAs is they take the 3rd quarter average of the consumer price index or CPI. So let's say that average ended up being 8.5%. They round it down to that lower whole number. So they would round down to 8, and then they take 1% off of that. So that is what they would do for federal employees, Social Security, and federal employee retirements would be 7%. We can't factor in the 3rd quarter on CPI because our budgets are due before the 3rd quarter really take place or can be finished. So the approach I took is to take the 2nd quarter average of CPI and follow the same formula though, instead of 3rd quarter to 2nd quarter. That does get you to COLA that would be at 7%. So I have that budgeted. However, I would like to get some direction from council of, would you guys like to follow a set formula that provides predictability? Flat out no. Here's how we calculate a cost of living. Or do you want to just discuss it and go, okay, here's our start, and can make adjustments. So what I like about that, from a staff perspective, I'm looking at, there's a formula to follow that's used by other government entities. Other cities, see, from what I've seen from other administrators across kind of the upper, I say western, upper Midwest, / mountain states, so North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana, kind of the Great Plains, mountain region. A lot of the administrators are saying 5%, 7%, or a couple communities are even higher, but a lot of the chatter that I've seen so far has been either at 5 or 7. That's where they've been leaning towards. Cass County budget at 7.1 budget. However, they are going to debate it and discuss it. What Cass County did is they used what the CPI was March or April. They didn't do an average. They didn't use a formula to break it all apart or anything. They just took the CPI from month of the spring to use as their starting point to have a conversation. They're going to go lower. Can't answer that for the county. Feedback I've gotten from the department heads of the county was they anticipated it falling between that 7.1, probably around 5, but we don't know for sure where the county. I believe West Fargo is looking at 5%, but I have not heard a definitive from them. Council has any feedback on COLA, I really appreciate that. Keep in mind on preliminary budget.
We still have to, if we approve that formula or whatever, do we would still have to approve that?
If the council would like to approve formula that we use, what I would likely do is come back to council. I would take the direction and apply it. It's applied already for preliminary budget. I'd take that, get run a preliminary budget formula calculation says, hey, that COLA should be lower. Then at the time of the final budget, we would make that adjustment. Also, the council said apply, hey, we want to have like a policy saying that this is what we use for calculating COLAs in the future. I'd probably come back to you with the actual policy stating, walking step by step, okay, this is how it's done. And ask for council approval of the actual policy. So that way you just come back every time. Bunch of time, okay, here's how we come. Now, the federal process, what they do also is, let's say the CPI is below 2%. They have a standard COLA rate that I believe would always be 1%. If it say a CPI is 1.9, well, that would make a COLA under 1. So they have like a minimum COLA amount, which would be like 1% or something. That if it was to be at that point.
And Brenton, that's kind of the thing here too, is that we haven't had to deal with this before because, the COLAs have always been relatively low, as far as federal. It's just this year, actually starting with last year, but this year they got a lot more. That's why we're having to look at this a little bit more, so that we've got some guidance and guidelines that we want to come up with. I know at one time we had talked maybe about just picking a month. Like we talked about May or April at one point, that whatever the CPI is at that point, that we roll with that one. I can see the average of the second quarter. I mean, that would make more sense if we wanted to do something like that. So at least we've got some structure to it. We're not always having a second guess all this the time now, because that's what's going to happen, especially if we start getting into this, where we're going to have on a yearly basis, we're going to have these swings like this. It would be nice to be able to at least have some consistency in how we arrive at what that COLA is going to be. But that's my 2 cents anyway.
Brendan, can you explain? So this discussion is in addition or over and above what you described as general performance raises.
Yes, this is the cost of living. It's not about an employee's performance. it's flat out cost of living. So it's not about an employee, it's about it costs X amount to buy a gallon of milk per se, it's trying to keep the employee's wage to have the same purchasing power or whatever purchasing power.
And I did a little unscientific research. I don't, I guess in my world, COLA is not different, a separate race per se. So when I look at an article, just to get like, I'm just trying to get some idea of what other locals, like you said, Brenton, are doing. It looks like the city of Fargo is proposing a 3.5 pay raise for city employees. And it almost looks like that's the proposal. It said additional bumps could come with reclassifications of duties or something about other comparable positions. To me, this is the city of Fargo saying they're giving their employees 3.5% raise.
For a COLA raise.
For-
Or is that their?
For all of it. Do you know, Brenton? That,
And is that a mid-year or is that
it's just an article from July 28th. It's in, for their budget for next year.
yeah,
It says-
so they, and other states are all, you know,
Yep.
some are saying
Yep.
5, some are going lower, some are saying no at all. Some
Yeah.
are going very high. The highest one I saw was just over 9%. Oh, wow.
And then it looked like for, and again, I don't know, but for federal, I don't know how it works at the federal government level, but this article says in the president's budget, 4.6% federal pay raise. I don't know if that means, I was just trying to get some ideas. I think, looked like North Dakota state employees got a 2% raise this year.
Right, but these aren't raises though. This is cost of living adjustment. Those are two different issues.
So you had one for Cass County.
Yeah, but I don't, they're not differentiating that, which one?
Yeah.
Cass County one. You had
Yep.
a couple people.
Yep, and then Cass County said they were looking at 8.5% cost of living increase, but it was contentious. And they were discussing it. So I don't know, if they are differentiating between COLA and a general raise.
I don't think that those, but what you're looking at for the Cass County one, I believe. The other ones, I don't think. I think those are.
Probably their raise.
Yeah, I don't know. I just did a quick search of articles online just to
And,
get an
and
idea.
I did
So,
I did a higher amount. You know, I did 7% COLA in this budget and 5% per merit average. So that way, because you're going to have some are higher, some are lower, but we have it in budgeted, so we have flexibility. However, if council has that approach they want to use for COLAs, that's very, very helpful. You know, the preliminary budget, that's a 5. No.
I think having a set format is good, at least then people know what to expect. Whether you're basing it on the last 2 quarters or,
Rather than thrown out a number.
yes. That way people know what to expect. It is written down, they can review it, you know, on their own, try to figure out what it's gonna be on their own.
Right, and that way we don't have to do this guessing game, because that's what I don't want to start getting into. Like I said, we haven't had to worry about this before. This year we do, and we should come up with some type of a way to make this consistent. And I think, you know, if we want to, the averaging of the second quarter, the 3 months in there, whatever that is, I think that's a legitimate, you know, number for a cost of living for the year. I think that's a good way to do it. It's consistent that way.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I get the consistency or the want for consistency, but most employment is fluid, I guess in my mind. I think, I realize the cost of living inflation is very high right now, but I have a little heartburn, I have to say, with a 7% COLA and a 5% general performance raise. I think I'd be a little more comfortable. I mean, I think we would be continuing to be competitive and provide our employees with a nice increase of maybe 2 to 3 COLA range, 2 to 3 general performance range. I also was thinking, we also, which I'm really glad we did, increased insurance premiums that we're paying for our employees. That's also a really good benefit. Just went up in June from 60 to 75%. I'm glad we were able to do that. That's a nice increase to benefit package for employees too. And I mean, I guess I just think I want to try to be competitive, reward our employees. I know they work really hard, but also be prudent with their tax dollars. That's the basis for my thoughts.
Brenton, correct me if I'm wrong, Brenton, but didn't Fargo give their employees like $1,000 each there back in, I don't know, April or something like that?
Yeah, we
Was it-
gave a raise with COVID dollars per
Right.
se to all their employer, a bonus, I mean, not a raise. They gave a bonus of $1,000. Lucas and I have looked into raises or bonuses, and that starts to get pretty dicey. That's why I didn't include them within our employee handbook.
No, the only reason I bring it up is that might be why they only went with a 3% COLA, because they'd already gotten some extra from the COVID dollars. So that's why when we're looking at those numbers there, we might want to just keep that in mind as well. We're gonna do comparisons like that, just where those extra dollars might have come from. I guess, if we don't want to go to 7% with the employees, I guess I would be comfortable going to a 5, but I don't think I want to go much lower than that. Again, we are competing with the Metro in as far as employees go. We have to concern ourselves that we are going to be competing with them in the future, and we want to make sure that we retain our employees and that we can attract employees when we are going to be hiring them. I agree that the insurance was a good kick up and that helps, but I do want to make sure that we are cognizant that we are competing with the rest of the Metro here. We want to make sure that we can keep competing and not start going the other direction.
So a big difference between us and our neighbors, right, say Fargo and West Fargo, is both of them are part of Northwood's public employee retirement system. City of West Fargo, even the West Fargo School District also, please don't quote me on the school district, but I believe they do this, is they cover 100% of the employees' retirement. Employer and the employee match. We do up to 6% match. I'm not asking to change that right now, but we have seen where that has impacted our candidates. For example, one individual in the finance director position, they backed out consideration because we're not part of Northwood, so they're very concerned about it. Got another individual for a position that did not accept the offer we made, and it was because we're not part of PERS, and they were part of West Fargo, where West Fargo pays the employee's share retirement. North Dakota PERS is set up to where the employees are supposed to cover 7% of the contributions, and the employer covers 8.26. That's what Fargo does. The city of West Fargo does 15.2%, 15.26% towards the employee's retirement on the city share or city side. The employee doesn't pay on that. So that's a challenge we have. So as Mayor mentioned about being competitive, so we want to make sure that we're competitive where we can be. But if we were to be in part of PERS, once you go into PERS, there's no backing out. Sorry to have on that too, is the liabilities that the city has versus with our retirement package that we do have. We put the employee the city contribution, that match up to 6% into the employee's retirement plan, and then we're done. Done with it, we don't have to touch it. Next payroll comes around, we do it again. So you put up that contribution or that match per se. Right now we do a 6% match, or up to 6%. But like I said, that's to keep us. PERS has those liabilities, so if the state was to increase the contribution requirements, our hands would be tied. We have to have that, and that's a liability on the city for years to come.
Well, I guess I'm kind of confused by the mayor, because he said okay, well, don't wanna do 7, then I'm okay with 5, but where's the formula for, I'm confused.
There isn't.
We don't have to utilize a formula. I think we can come up
Well,
on
I
our own.
thought
when
the
we think
discussion
of-
was a formula. I thought we were.
Well, the
discussing
consumer
a
price
formula.
index, but not every, I mean, most employers don't follow that.
You're not required to do a formula.
You're not required to do, yeah.
What
So we're not
I'm
voting
asking
on
for
formula.
is, I'm asking for his consideration of a formula to be able to have give predictability to employees. If the council is not comfortable with the formula, they do not have to. But, okay.
And we have
where
to
do you
decide
come-
that in order to set the budget tonight.
Well, you could have you don't have to decide that tonight. However, with our preliminary budget, we can count for 7%. If you're wanting to do a formula, that's very helpful for us. However, go down. This can't go up.
What you're
So
saying
if
is
you
if
want-
they got 7 as the high, and then if we decide to go lower, we can go lower.
Yes.
Okay.
So you can go down to 5 at the final budget. You say, let's do the preliminary budget, let's account for 7%. Let's have further discussion on a COLA, for example, and then let's go, and then we may go to a different percentage later on.
Okay, Sarah, we haven't heard from you. What are your thoughts?
I'm reserving my thoughts at this point in time. I have additional research I have to do on the budget. I don't like to see cost of living separate from raises. I like to see something fluid. I do agree that we need to be competitive with the metro area. We've had some difficulty with that. But at this point in time, I don't know if that answer is a formula. I have to look into it on my own in order to formulate my thoughts on this, Jeff.
Okay. For me personally, I'm probably opposite of you, where I like to see cost of living separate from a yearly performance bonus or raise, just because it's something that is out of the actual employee's control, as far as how the economy or something like that is going, and for them to be able to continue working at a business or whatever establishment. If they don't see that cost of living adjustment, then they would probably start looking elsewhere for employment. And that's where you get into, where does it cost more, trying to replace an employee or provide them with that cost of living increase? So those are just my thoughts.
Yeah, I guess I gotta look into this a little more. I mean, every place I've worked, we don't deal with cost of living. We get normal raises. There are some years we don't get raises. This is just a very different structure municipally than what I'm accustomed to. And giving out a cost of living raise once a year, I'm in agreement with. More than once a year, I'm not. And so I would need to have additional discussion on it. And I'm thankful to hear everyone's comments because I'm starting to wrap my head around what we would do. But I really want to look at some other municipalities and understand how they do it. I don't know how some other people do it, and I don't know if we compare to them. I don't know if we should try to compare to them. Those are all things that are running through my head right now. But I do appreciate the commentary. Thank you.
Yep, and I would agree that I would not want more than one cost of living adjustment per year. Usually it would occur halfway through the year after a performance review, just in case they needed to be bumped up to help retain employees. But I would never be in favor for more than one cost of living adjustment per year.
Agreed. No, it should only be one. And, and sometimes I think too, Jeff, it would be under extraordinary circumstances similar to like what we're dealing with now. Otherwise, yeah, I'd be at the end of the year or something like that. But I mean, that's something we can all talk about when and how, but I agree. It once a year is all you need for this one.
And I do tend to agree with Sarah. I want to, like I said, I did a little preliminary research just to kind of get my head around the issue, but I need to dig into this a little bit more because I'll be honest, when I'm reading these numbers, to me, this when it says Fargo is a 3.5 pay raise, to me, that's a pay raise. I mean, I also don't live in a world where I have different buckets of raises. I just get a raise and many years, it's not very big.
Did
So,
can you refresh my memory, Brent, because I feel like, it wasn't that long ago that we looked at raises.
We
Or
looked
was
at,
that last year?
we looked at possible mid-year COLA. And part of that
When
was,
did we last increase wages for the staff?
for COLA, we did, the performance is based on employee's anniversary. The COLA was January 1.
and did we do one?
We did a 4% COLA in January.
So there's a 4% COLA in January of 22.
Yep. And then the year before, we did not do one.
No COLA in 20,
No COLA.
in 21, sorry,
Yeah,
okay.
in the 2021 budget, there was not a COLA.
Okay.
In 2022, it's a 4%.
Okay.
For other cities in 2021, did do a COLA. That's why we're trying to get some consistency. That's what I'm bringing up the formula concept, because if you have consistency and predictability, then you know what they're. So if not comfortable with the approach to it, they don't have to. However, how do you come to percentage?
I feel like the
If you-
formula is really restricting though in the fluidity of every year. I guess I personally wouldn't be in favor of a strict formula. If it's something we're reviewing, I'd rather review it every year. That's just my thought.
So how do we move forward right now? Like, what are we supposed to,
So my
Sarah wants
recommendation,
to do research, staff wants to do research.
my recommendation for you is to keep it in the preliminary budget, what we have. And then we could have a conversation about COLAs
Okay,
at either the next council meeting on the 15th, or we could do one on September 6th.
okay.
So you have some time there to be able to do that.
Are we,
Before we lock ourselves into anything.
yeah,
Okay.
So we are going to table this, is that what you're getting
You're
at?
not tabling the preliminary budget.
no.
Okay.
We just
You-
have the option of going down.
Basically
here.
just saying that you got flexibility and you want to have more conversation on COLA.
And when we're done with this, I just had a couple other questions on the budget, but let's finish this.
Okay?
Are we? Never mind.
go ahead.
Oh, no.
That was the main part of. Okay, main part on the general fund budget, here was that. Also, we account for the purchases. We discussed these previous council meeting. This is accounting for general fund, anything for the highway for expenses, so 56,000 for equipment. So the highway fund share is included in the general fund. Reason why is because the general fund transfers money over to the highway fund anyways. And we have an increase of that transfer for the 2022 budget. We have around $100,000 budgeted to transfer to the general fund, cover highway fund expenses. In 2023 preliminary budget, it shows, draft budget shows 20,000. Instead of having even bigger transfer, having the expenses tied to this. You have the expenses tied to this general fund instead.
Yeah,
Okay. So what we have budgeted, you can see different, the cost shares are split between different funds. But what we have here is two trucks, one is a replacement, one's addition. The half-ton 4x4 addition crew cab truck. This one is a single cab truck, half-ton 4x4 is replacing the Dodge half-ton that we have. General fund would cover 15,000 for the first truck, 10,000 for the second. Water and sewer also would participate. Would also put the money towards another Ranger side by side. The one we have, we use a lot. That we use it. It's very helpful for. Also includes equipment do trailer replacements. And then also in general fund, the shop safety improvements, basically getting some flammable resistant cabinets, chain link fence within there, to secure some of our items like our flammables and some of the higher, potentially like higher dollar tools that we have. That's what it has. You can see here that we had other items that Public Works could really use. They you have a cost for a payloader, it'd probably be around 200,000.
What's a payloader?
Front loader, so you'd have the big front bucket on it.
Like on a tractor, like a.
But it's not, it's its own implement, it's not a tractor though. And then street sweeper, we recognize street sweeper is needed. We contract street sweeping out right now. However, in the future, we know that we'll eventually need to get a street sweeper for the city. The one we have is basically like a parking lot sweeper, and try to scrap by with it when we can. And but when the sweeping needs to occur, that's more extensive. We bring in a company called Pro Sweep. Come in with 4 or 5 street sweepers and hit up the whole town.
How often do we do that?
About twice a year, 2 or 3 times a year. Typically right after spring. And we do again before meeting, right before meeting. Yep. So, but we do see a need for that. Years, or if we have a good budget year, like I mentioned, the general fund revenues. Oh, that way, can have it here specific need. That show a balanced budget there, and like I said, we'd have further conversation about. I had run through in detail, met with usually Sarah, I knew you still on it, running every detail. I'm more than happy to run through detail. Wants me to, but 3 hours. This 1.6 million, we do need to account for 5% of that, like less typically. And that's due to the county, they allow a 5% discount, pay property taxes on time. That would be a lot nicer if they would do it as a penalty, not as a discount, because this affects our budgets. That is why right now I'm going to try to find a cleaner way to reflect it. We're going to talk to their auditors about it, but under miscellaneous expenses, I have our contingency. I bumped that up quite a bit. The normally budget between 30,000 contingency general fund, sometimes a little bit more. It's higher. That is 80,000 higher, so it's around 110,000 because I have to account that discount somehow. So I put it in. Any questions on the general fund? That more than happy to expand. Soon, I can't. Okay, highway fund. Highway tax distribution, this is your state motor fuel tax allocation that we get. It's based on the 2020 census population. So we have a slight increase as our population increase. However, it doesn't really reflect what's going on for us, but we have a few additional dollars. Try to be conservative. As you can see in 2021, our actual was 107,574. Same for the 2023 budget, 155,000. I think we're likely higher than that. But that's allocation given to city's basic population for the state. 220,000 transfer in 2020 budget. We have 8,000. In 2021, we did not have transfer in because we were trying to spend down the fund balance. I not do that. If Highway fund expenditures are lower. We have budgeted. We just don't transfer as much from the general fund. Also, something council could consider if they want to is if they want to spend down the fund balance a little bit more in the future, we could do a budget amendment to spend down the fund balance a little bit. Healthy fund balances, they have fund balance reserves at least 35%, you go up to 75%. I do believe fund balance should be spent down a little bit more, but that could also be used for like another, snow plow or a street sweeper, things like that. And that's what the city actually did in 2021. 2020, 2021, actually spent down the fund balance. We bought snow plow. And that's what we did there. Okay. Another change here, you'll see on upcoming budgets, so water and sewer, they have a considerable increase in the city staff salary benefits. The reason why is because we added more budget authority for staff. We basically doubled our staff size. So we had 3 full-timers. The council has authorized 3 more. So you did the 2, and we had the 1 from 21. 2021 budget where the council authorized that one. They have made an offer to individual, he accepted one. So that one of those 3 is filled. So end of August likely, we'll be at 4 full-time public works employees and 2 vacant public positions. So if anybody knows anybody that's a great public works person, hey, go, great opportunity. But what we did too with the highway fund is we reduced the cost share. Historically, the highway fund would cover about 50% of the employee salaries for public works, with water and sewer, water covering, I believe it was 20% and the sewer covering 30%. We changed the cost shares of that to where water and sewer cover 35% of the employee salary and highway covers 30%. Main reason behind that is our public works staff do dedicate more time toward water and sewer than that 50%, 30, 20 breakout. Ask our guys how many locates they do in a day. A lot of locates. If we have one that could, we outsource it, but you really can't because our system is so all over the place. It's special, I would like to say. Learn that capital outlay, I believe it counts for street or our operator payment. We have around $1,000 for that. Any questions on highway fund? Okay, water. Water charges look a lot higher. We anticipate having more customers. Obviously, with our growth, a lot of developments, like I'll take example, Taylor Gardens or Lakeview, those are in the Horace service area for water. In 2023 budget, we anticipate around 125 new homes. The 265 that we're accounting for in other budgets. 125, that keep eating up pretty quick. Like I said, with Lakeview, Taylor Gardens 3rd. Hub 2, for example, is to come in and they just started to build homes in there. Arrowwood 3rd, which is just south of us here, that's another development. So 125 is, I think it's reasonable. I also have this reflecting a increase in the hookup / tap fee. So the water tap fee and the sewer tap fee right now is $750 per connection. We're recommending to increase that to $1,000 in this budget. If council was to approve that within the final budget, then I'll come back to you and reflect that in the rate resolution update. It's that to $1,000. That really helps us with our infrastructure. The whole point is trying to get away from, we're not going to avoid specials. We're never going to avoid specials, but just like we're doing with water projects. Our projects, we're trying to get our water fund healthy, And we're also trying to be able to take on these projects, some of these projects, we're not gonna be able to do every single one of them, but take on some of these improvements that we'd always have to special assess something on. So that is part of the reasoning behind that. The water rate itself, and accounting for the Cass rural water rate increases the council has approved. Now, we are not live on Cass rural, obviously, what we have budgeted is high. We'll probably have to do amendment at some point to lower that if it's looking like our going to be there. This accounting for a base of $27, cost per thousand of $540. I used $540 across the board, even though Cass rural water and council here recently, we've incorporated that tiered approach for depending on the usage of water starting next summer for Horace residents in our service area. I just use $540 across the board. The tiered approach, you use up to so many, thousands of gallons. You're being charged $640 or $740 for those extra thousands of gallons. Anyways, the base of 27, cost per thousand is $540. The CIP surcharge used to be called the water tower lagoon surcharge, referred to just as the CIP surcharge now, and that's $760. CIP surcharge, overall intention of it is for the water improvements that we're doing in the city. Okay, trying not to special assess all the time. Then that revenues, it brings us to $712,950. Set with the rate increases and the additional customers, that's the main driver behind that. Staff, as we mentioned, and changed the cost share. That's why you see such an increase like you do. And the additional staff. Yeah. For that, we have positions for it. No guarantees that we're going to have those positions filled. I hope we do though by remembering this budget year. A good chunk of the southern miscellaneous expense, for example, well, down here, you'll see is our debt service payments. Structure. Questions on water? This is our last bigger one. The other budgets go quick. Okay, sewer. Similar to water, we increased the tap hookup fees from $750 to $1,000. We anticipated 265 new homes built for 2023. With that, will give us revenue for hookup fees of $265,000. Sewer charges, we average it out of when we anticipate these new homes to come online. It comes up to $405,000. Had 265 new homes plus the homes that we're having this year. It adds up as an impact. If you ever want me to go through that, I'll gladly walk you through it again. I know they go through that with each of you. How we calculate this. Overall impact brings you a revenue of $670,450. Same as water. With staff, we broke out, changed the cost share for that, and yeah, the additional staff. There will be changes in there. The main change here in commodities is due to with more homes coming online, that means sewage will be sent to Fargo through our SSL phase 1. So we anticipate to have a significant increase in our costs there with Fargo. All we have differences there for sewer pump. Any questions on sewer?
No.
Trash. This one is impacted also, like tap fees, this is impact. What we're proposing under the charges for services, this is a discussion I would like to have with council here for your consideration, is an accounting for 5% increase. It brings your cost per month $24 trash and recycle to 25/20. What that is mainly to basically break even, keep our head afloat for garbage service that we have, contract out with waste management, and also to be able to have the compost area. However, if you would like to expand those services at all, then you'd have to increase the rate a little bit more.
If you want to.
Expand the services. Expanding the services, what comes to mind would be if you want to have an area for residents to be able to take cardboard to. Also historically has not chosen to have cardboard dump off for locations. However, we have had, example, from the city of West Fargo called us and say, don't have your residents dump cardboard there, because I know residents do dump cardboard at West Fargo or Fargo locations. And for the residents there of those communities, we don't have a cardboard drop off site. In addition, some residents burn their cardboard. On burning their cardboard.
I just recycled it.
Got a lot more cardboard than what you
I was
recycle.
gonna say too, I just put mine in there. I don't have much, I suppose.
So if you were to want to have some bins for cardboard, for example, you increase that rate a little bit. Why is because you got to be able to cover costs. This fund here, solid waste, has very little increases in its revenue. When you look at it on a monthly basis, it increases the fund balance maybe by $1,000 a month, if that. So it tells you that we're writing it pretty tight. Any dollars that we have additional, we tried to come in for. So we tried to budget some compost site improvement at a concrete pad. We have ideas of how we could expand that. However, this is the main funding source, or we use sales tax for funding source for that, or general fund. So if council wants to consider us doing cardboard drop off, I'd recommend that you increase it another 5%, so it'd be a 10% increase total. That'd bring your rate to 2640 versus the 24. I can tell you, I know Mr. Lindstrom can attest to that probably, that our rate does have cost savings. Looking at trash bill from if you're in the city versus not, it's about half of what it would be otherwise.
I know, but a lot of people are already feeling the heat from just the water rate increasing. And it's gonna go up again, and you know what I mean, like.
Yep. And that's if you expand their services. If you don't expand services, I'm recommending a 5% increase. If you want to add cardboard, I'm recommending a 10% increase. Do that very quickly and show like that.
Has anyone heard any feedback from residents on whether a cardboard spot would be something that people are interested in?
Never had anybody say anything. The only thing that people like is, that I know of, is the compost area.
And I believe they all go, a lot of them go to Fargo or West Fargo.
I guess I just don't have that much cardboard. I would defer to the other council if they've talked to people, and this might be something they'd be interested for the cost. I don't know. I really, unless maybe we want to look into it a little more.
My
Maybe we
wife
should
knows
post
the
and ask.
UPS, FedEx, and mailman by name. They deliver a lot of packages.
What are you doing with the cardboard?
We won't say. So I'm one of those people that they probably called and complained about. So I would think a lot of people would make use of a cardboard recycling site. It's just, you have to find the room for the site as well. Where would we put it? The costs going along with that. And kind of like what you just said, if people don't make use of it, you know, how's it fair to the people that don't buy a lot of packages online and have them shipped in?
Or they don't go through like a million cereal like I do at my house.
Sarah, what do you have any thoughts on this?
I would love a cardboard recycling place because I'm just like Jeff. I get packages delivered to my house of a ridiculous quantity, and I too am probably one that the city of West Fargo has called on.
What's up, Steve?
This is a little footnote. There's a certain number of calls you get if people are burning their cardboard and stuff. Technically, that is a no-no. We haven't started to enforce it per se, but they're also throwing in their trash and everything else.
Can't we just have a bonfire?
What's that?
Can't we have a bonfire?
You can have a bonfire, but you cannot be burning trash.
Cardboard is considered trash?
Because of all the
I
stuff
thought
that
they
it.
were fire starters.
Yeah, it's just starting a fire.
I use mine to start the fire.
You know, there's a
That's what I do,
difference
is just start a fire.
No, but we get a call that we have about a dumpster load of cardboard. Then they'll throw in some shingles and then maybe a tire or two, and
I mean,
It goes
I would just
downhill from
assume
there.
rather not pay.
that's a piece of ordinance that I'll be bringing eventually to the city. But I'm just saying that you're making your decisions. Some people just get rid of their stuff, or they use the cardboard to melt the plastic off wire so that they can then sell the copper.
You guys.
And that's an air environmental quality control issue, not a fire safety issue per se. Unless you're burning it next to your garage.
Maybe we want to throw it out to residents and see if there's a big,
Sally, can you put
push
a
to
poll
want,
on?
push to want to have it. I mean, I would go with whatever the residents want to go with for the amount of the increase. I mean, if they're like absolutely want it, then yeah.
How about Sally can do a poll on our.
Can you put it on our trash bill that we get every month? Just sign up for a poll and just see how many people would.
So what I'd say is for the preliminary budget, if you guys are considering it, I could account for it within the budget.
And if you don't want to, you know.
And then if you don't want to,
Okay.
I could adjust it.
Okay.
If you would like me to do that. So, and I am taking a stab at, okay, the 5% that would cover the cost of cardboard. I don't know. Don't know if that's going to cover all the cost of cardboard because we don't know how much it would get used. We also thought that compost area would be used, but by how much? Our compost area is used a lot.
Use all the time.
Is used very heavily by our residents, which is great to see.
Well,
But I
if we
think
do
as
that,
people see that that's more and more available, they're going to go out there more.
well, if you do a poll, Sally, can you make sure that in the poll, they know that it would be for an increase in their
Rate.
rate?
Great.
Yes.
Just put the dollar amount, would you say $2.40 or something?
Maybe we could just put that garbage is going up 5%. And if you, right, Brenton, and then if you
Yeah.
wanted an additional 5% up to 2640, would there be an opportunity for cardboard
Recycle.
recycling and just, let's just fill people out?
And I do concur to keep in mind our neighbors. Like I said, we've had those complaints from cities, and I anticipate if they did not do the cardboard thing, we're gonna get more.
And can I just say, Stephanie, I know you like to put stuff on the internet. Can you just not ask the question, but direct them to the poll? So we
Oh, I
have
wasn't going, yeah, I was gonna let
just,
Sally.
yeah, because I just
Yeah.
want to have one poll.
Yeah. Yep, no, I wasn't gonna put anything out on it. I like, if we're doing a poll, that's great.
Yeah, I just don't want to have two polls and then
Yeah.
wonder how many people double voted or whatever.
Nope, no problem.
If you want me to send out like a message alert and put it on there and just to have the poll, the home for a poll on our website, or just to be on Facebook.
Website.
We can work out details.
Okay.
We'll handle doing some sort of survey or poll.
Thank you.
Yeah. So on here. What I do is I'll calculate 5% increase. Okay. Any other questions on solid waste? Vector. This is a quicker one, I promise. I like these really. Vector control, this is a charge of $250 per utility account. So they say per household generates just under 50,000, 48,300. We count for a late fee. Late fees are only 50 cents for Vector. Surprisingly, we do get late fees. And we're already exceeding, I believe, 2021 actual. We're up there already. I know I talked to Jeff about that. We were both surprised. Holy cow, we have a lot of late fees already, folks. But 2023 budget, total Vector budget is 48,450. We have been very, very fortunate this year on our mosquitoes to the point that I think a lot of people are scratching their heads going, how are mosquito counts so low still? We go in little spurts, but not even enough to justify a spraying. Last year, we didn't have to spray at all. Wrong number, you know. We have a bad year. The year before that, so 2020 was a bad year for mosquitoes, spring. Within this, the contractuals, that covers our agreement with Cass County Vector Control. Do the mitigation efforts for mosquitoes, preventative measures. Also gives us a little wiggle room if we need to do an aerial spray ever. Would not recommend an aerial spray because a lot of our residents live along the river and you have the tree canopy. Aerial spray comes from above. Tree canopy blocks. Of that. That's why our truck-based spraying is more effective because we're under the canopy and when we're flying around. So now, as the city grows and you have more residents that live in more open areas, don't have as many mature trees, aerial spray might be something to consider in the future. However, you do have to open yourself up to challenges that are associated with aerial spraying, such as you may kill insects that are not your targets. Mosquitoes, you may get butterflies and things like that. That did impact Fargo, Moorhead, West Fargo quite a bit. They had a lot of upset residents when they did that, when they did the aerial spray in 2020, and it was during the butterfly migration time. So, something to keep in mind. Other than that, in the other miscellaneous, it counts for cost participation with that side-by-side, additional side-by-side. Any questions on Vector? Nope. Since we have had 2 good years, our fund balance has grown, obviously, for Vector a little bit. That does help us if we did have to amend the budget in the future, chemical, additional chemicals or another sprayer, or if we had to do aerial spray or anything like that, if we need a bit more, have that in our fund balance to help us. Before 2020, I believe it was, those costs are actually coming out of general fund. So the Vector fund has really helped us not have to hit our general for that. Forestry. Okay, forestry is a $1 per month fee on the utility bills. Generates just under $20,000. Overall revenue is $19,470. Doing a little bit more. Cost participating with this, the miscellaneous covers cost share within that side by side. Also, what we're trying to do, I hope to have some details about some tree programs later this year for council. I have some staff looking at what options are, what other cities are doing. One thing I'm looking at, reached out to a supplier of trees, so Tree Farm, where like a lot of the nurseries get their trees from. They like the one out in Barnesville, where they get a lot of their trees from. It's a place called Bailey's. Bailey's has tree farms down in Twin Cities and across in Minnesota. Reached out to them to see would the city be a wholesale customer from a tree farm? Could we get those trees and work out a tree program to where we're getting them at a cost similar like a nursery would get? Because if you go through a nursery or a contractor, you're going to be paying premium, you're going to be paying markup and everything. So we're looking into our options, just like that. This isn't obviously this isn't a ton of money, new tree programs. But we're looking at trying to have a start. Tree programs that we're looking at though, one is for boulevard trees for basically existing homes or homes built this year and earlier. And then the other program purely tackles the angle of how do we tackle new homes built to where they need to have a boulevard tree planted within a certain time frame. So it's kind of a two-facet approach. We do have concerns, and what we're trying to vet too is making sure we don't just give a resident a tree. These trees they wouldn't be small, they'd probably be like inch and a half diameter or bigger. And our concern is if we just give a resident a tree, they're going to get planted in the boulevard, which is the intention of the program that we're working on. So we're trying to work out those details now. But that is the draft preliminary budget.
Okay, I was gonna ask a question. I have had a few residents that will call me kind of upset. They didn't get a notice on something or whatever, like water shut-offs or whatever. No, I get a phone call from the wolves saying we'll be canceling tomorrow, whatever, in emergent situations or active, shooter drills or whatever, we get these automated calls. And a lot of parents know what I'm talking about. I'm just wondering if the council would be, I don't know how much those things cost. Would you guys be willing to consider adding this to the budget, to kind of mitigate outraged residents, when they are upset with not knowing what's going on? And then, you look at our Facebook pages and you have negative comments and just, I don't know how much a system like that is. But I have had some residents reach out to me regarding something like that. And so since we're talking about budget, I was just wondering what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, in this day and age, I think it'd be something that fairly simple to put together. Even the softball association in town has one. During inclement weather, you'll get a message an hour before you're supposed to drive up
So you
there.
don't think it's something expensive?
I don't think it's something expensive.
Okay,
So we do have on our website as the text alert.
I know,
they're signed up
but
for
I have
that.
had people
Yeah.
say that they are signed up and they're not getting this because that direct them to that.
I think if a call came in to people like who don't really care to get texts, or it seems to be maybe more reliable if a call came in over the phone.
I just know, I do appreciate when the school sends out like a weather announcement or, hey, there was we're on lockdown because of a shooter incident running around town, whatever the case is, it is kind of nice. I'm trying to see what everyone's thoughts are on if it needs to be added to the budget, I don't know. But mitigating maybe some of the nasty phone calls, upset people, whatever we can do to kind of help the staff out as well as keeping the residents informed. I don't know. I just thought I'd bring it up because I don't know how much a system like that would cost.
If the council wanted us to tackle that, I think within our budget, our water budget, we'd probably tackle it anyway, so.
Okay,
Because we do account for things like special projects.
okay,
And also, if it's just something that we do as just a straight up project, get set up, I can do that as a separate item where you can set aside the dollars this calendar year, and we either tackle it next year or do it this year. So,
Okay.
I think it'd be great to look into, it'd be a great communication tool. Another resident, it's not quite so techy, but another resident reached out to me too about the water shut off and said, maybe we could, for bigger issues like that, put the signs. Like, you know, when the fire department does their hydrant flushing, they put the signs. People were just reaching out with.
a lot of times when we're doing shut-offs, we don't have a lot of time to be able to.
Yeah, and I know, this is
And
just
those-
a resident suggestion.
Yeah, and actually the hydrant flushings, those are done by the city. We do those.
Oh, okay.
And we've actually tried sending out letters to folks, explaining what the hydrant flushing does and everything too. That way, try to get the word out of what's going on. Because folks have a greater chance of discolored water during a hydrant flushing time period.
I would be, because I think, you know, people can submit their phone numbers and then it's as long as it's not difficult for staff to.
Well, I think it's as simple as going on
Probably
the
just
utility bill and
putting in
the number,
Putting it in there.
you know,
Yeah.
getting it. I don't know. I'm just throwing out ideas. I didn't know if it needed to be on the budget or not, which is why I brought it up now. So I'm sorry I deviated a little bit.
I like it.
Okay, so what are you looking for us to do on this, agenda item?
Basically, if you are comfortable with this one, it'd be seeking approval of the preliminary budget with accounting for additional 5% increase in the rate to seek additional feedback for garbage recycle while we seek additional feedback. And then what we do is set the public hearing date. If you're trying to go off of council meeting dates, it'd be September 20th or October 3rd.
Shouldn't we do it sooner though? Because
You can't do it sooner based
no,
on.
I mean, on those dates. I'm sorry, the dates that were given, the earlier one, because
Oh.
I feel like we were really close to this for the deadline or something last year. It was kind of stressful. I don't remember what that deadline was.
If you do it on the 20th, if there's any concerns that you need to vet out, you know, on the 3rd is having the council. That budget, you get approved on the 20th,
Yeah.
or you can approve it on the 3rd. It's like we're price we do on the 3rd. If council's uneasy approving the budget, then they
Yeah, I
would
feel like
have
we should-
to have a special meeting because you have to take action on that budget before
Yeah.
October 7th.
Yeah, I don't want to do any special meetings.
And then my only other thought was, in the interim, then before the public meeting, you were gonna post a version of the preliminary budget,
Once the
right?
preliminary budget is approved.
It's
then
out
I
there.
can
So
post
if
that.
residents want to look at it, they can, or it'll be on the
Because
website or
we
something.
would have the public notice saying, hey, the preliminary budget is set.
Okay.
What we do is when the preliminary budget is set, we send that to the county, and then the county does the publication of that, works with us too. So we send them the copy of the preliminary budget with the certificate of preliminary budget levy.
Okay.
That gives them a starting place to identify what it's going to fall, identify when our public. So by doing this, when we're doing it right now, it gives us a chance to actually get the word out a little bit more, to saying, hey, this is when it's going to be. Technically, we could be going through this here on the 15th, but it's a lot easier to go through now and not be down the wire like that.
I guess what I would say right now, guys, is that being we can go down, we can't go up, is that we accept the preliminary budget as is right now with the what do you want to call it, a survey out to see if the residents want that 5% jump in the garbage. And then what we can do is over the next 30 days, we can have discussions about what we want to do with some of the topics that were brought up this evening. Again, these can be changed. Like I said, brought down, they can't be brought up. So we have a starting point at this point, and then we can discuss this. And if we need to change it, we can change it. Brenton, is September 6th on the one of the days that can be used for the public meeting?
I thought it was, and I double checked right before our meeting tonight, and September 7th is the first day you could have it.
Okay, all right.
So
So then we'll have to go with the 20th. It just makes it kind of tight because it doesn't give us a lot of time then to get it in and But I would suggest that we go to September 20th, then it gives us time to get this ironed out.
Yeah, you have the 20th or October 3rd as your dates you could do. That's all within the window.
Yeah, I would,
To be September 7th and October 7th.
right. I would suggest we do it on the 20th then.
Okay. So I'll make a motion then to approve the preliminary budget with the addition of the 5% addition to the solid waste budget as we determine the necessity of cardboard recycling. And we will set the public hearing date for September 20th, 2022 as a date to vote on the budget. And do I have a second?
I will second.
Okay. All right, we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and anybody opposed? And item number 22 for the agenda passes. Okay, on to 22B, to discuss 7224 64th Avenue. A request to implement a septic system for that address. Britton? Yep.
So we have a building permit application right now for a new home construction at 7224 64th Avenue South. There's an existing home there right now, or it's an existing home they're tearing down, has a septic system there. Sanitary sewer is not nearby, don't have any definitive plans for sanitary sewer line to be there. However, based on its zoning is R2, zoning ordinance requires that if an individual is to install a septic system there or within that zoning, it needs to be approved by city council. So this is my understanding, the main reason why they're would be doing this, not being off the previous septic system. One, the house that they're tearing out is about 15 years old, but the house they're tearing out is or near the size of this one. One going in, the size is just under 13,000 square feet and a value of $5.9 million. So they are looking to have a new and a bigger septic system.
Curiosity, how big of a septic system does that have to be? How many bathrooms are in this house?
11 bathrooms.
Okay, so
I
we have
don't know
a
how big a
football
septic
field.
system, I don't know.
We have a football field for a drain field, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Any
So
other
they're
discussion?
looking for approval of that. The lot exceeds 1 acre in size, which is minimum for a septic system. Like I said, it really just comes down to the zoning. The zoning requires that council just has to say if they approve also being on septic system. So we had a building permit, staff is, they're reviewing that, it's nearly complete, the building permit review at home.
And there's no,
Very good size.
no hookup anywhere in that. Okay.
No, Nicole's is one when you open at 17.
I do have a question for Russ. Speaking of literally the size of that drain field, that the size of the lot, will that be able to accommodate that?
The only thing I heard was it's bigger than 1 acre. I don't know how big it is.
Okay.
Okay, and now, you still have to get a permit from, Cass County Health.
Yep.
And they do a perk test,
They do a what?
Percolation.
percolation test. They will test the soil to see, whether it's feasible and type of system they'll have to put in.
Understood. So is this coming to us too soon? Like the cart's ahead of the horse here or not?
No.
Okay,
We have to
they don't have
allow
to
it.
ask first?
They can't even go to CAS if you don't approve it.
Got it. Okay.
You have to give the approval first, so.
Well, I'll make a motion to, approve the called? The sewer septic system, for 7224 64th Avenue.
Okay.
Is that all I say?
You want to do approval or following? Motion to allow.
A motion to allow, I'm sorry.
Okay, so we got a motion. Do we got a second?
I'll second.
Okay, then a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, 22B passes. On to 23. Jim.
All right,
You're finally
we'll
up.
make this quick. Southdale Farms fourth and fifth edition is 2% complete. They started on the 6th of July. That is the large project that we talked about earlier, second largest project we talked about. $1 million. Right now, we basically just have 1% sanitary sewer. Which day for that one is 11/12/2022. By dollar value earned, they are 2% complete. Lift Station 13, which is Big Hole up on Deer Creek Estates, and County Road 17 is about 9% complete. I haven't had one of these summer report yet, so it's 9% more than last time. Completion date was the first today, but due to supply issues and whatever else, they'll be coming out to the time extension. We just haven't got it complete. We haven't got a written request yet, so of that project, they've got 15% of the lift station general work complete. Work anticipated for in this next month will be finishing the wet well, the valve bulb, so the County Road 17 case crossing and installation of sanitary sewer main. Crossing on 17 will be happening at least by Thursday of this week. Water placement project. So the current contract was $4,043,781. The original contract was $4,076,045. Now, granted, this changed to change order earlier today, but percent complete is 53%. The last month they've increased by 6%. Right now, we have 100% of Willow Court done, 100% of Dewey Court, 100% of Mickey Wells, 100% of Dakota, 80% of Cheyenne Drive, 100% of West River, 80% of Park. Remaining is Center, Nelson, County Road 17, which is right out front here, Creek Park Alley. 90% of the gate valve, fire hydrants, curb stops that are in place in Arrowwood. Third and Fourth Street will be coming soon with an additional subcontractor to work on Third and Fourth Street. Work anticipated for this month is replacement on water main replacement on Center, Nelson, and 8th. Restoration and cleanup. We need subgrade prep and pavement. Lost Service 7th edition is 57.7% complete by Mount Earn. Completion date on November 1st on that one. 95% of the sewer is complete, 95% of the water, 95% of the storm sewer. So basically 95% of the underground. They are working on the roadway excavation, subgrade prep, fabric and gravel. Lakeview addition is 95% complete. Items remaining on that is lighting and electrical, landscaping, and some flat work. Work anticipated for this month is flat work, sidewalks, street lighting on St. Benedict and 63rd, dry utilities, landscaping on the brook, and final stabilization of topsoil and erosion control points. So there are those. Any questions on those?
Sir? No. Any questions for me?
No.
Okay. All right. If there's no further questions, I'll be moving on to item number 24 with Brenton.
Couple updates for you. One, we had our bonding call last week with Colliers for the bond sale over 10th bond. That came in under the parameters resolution. Council approved the parameters resolution of 4.95%. That one came at 5 on par, but it comes out to 3.8. looking to make sure I don't say
3.25, I know that.
3.25 is par, which is 3.88, I believe, APR, which is really good from what we were anticipating. We had a lot of interest in our bonds, and participation from the big investment firms, which is good news because if they're willing to play ball, comfortable with what's going on. They do scrutinize what's going on quite a bit. I know that I had questions from a couple different firms, but they reached out to Colliers, and Colliers couldn't answer. They wanted a direct response from the city, so I'd have to give a direct response on that. But we have some of the different firms, for example, and please don't quote me on the exact ones, but I know Goldman Sachs participated. There's a big investment firm called Invesco that was interested, or believe they participated. Franklin, big Morgan Stanley. So a lot of these big ones that don't just play ball. Horace historically hasn't had bigger investment firms invest into our bonds before. Last year, Goldman Sachs was the first one to participate in Horace, and they bought 10 million of our 10 bonds last year, which is good. We do have some that are even interested in coming to the site, but has expressed interest to Colliers, so we can do a site visit to see firsthand what's going on in Horace. So, anyways, that's good news. I'm working with Colliers, and we'll be working with onset Twitchell to coordinating a time Colliers will be up here. Come talk to council. We did that here a little while back. I thought it was very helpful for them to walk through the bonding process and how this all works. And what we do is we have a sit down with, we offer it for the council members where they have a sit down, hear from Colliers, Onstead, staff, all in the same room, be able to answer questions they have tied to it. I think it really helps with understanding the bonding process there. But then in addition, they have come to the council meeting on how we're doing, what's going on from their perspective. So we're working on that. I'm working with Colliers to coordinate a date for that. Craig and Mike. Want to make sure you're aware of what we're trying to put together there. Reminder, Northwood League Cities Conference, September 22nd through 24th. I think everybody's gotten back to me from the council. Take care of registrations or we can do. Finance director interviews likely will be next week. I'm coordinating with Jeff and Corey on that. We have a few strong candidates. We're excited to talk to them. And public works position, I mentioned we filled the position for that one. The individual's name is Rick Kaufman. He actually lives in Horace here, so we're excited to have him on board here. I don't have a definitive start date yet. So likely later this month.
Is that it?
Yep.
All right, Corey, you're up next.
All right. So there was a chamber event here last week on, I want to say it was Wednesday or Thursday. I don't recall. But anyway, while I was there, I wound up sitting talking to Judy Lee for a little bit. We talked about childcare, and some of the things that we're running into in the city. And of course, we're not unique. But there is a task force that has been put together that is working through some state procedures. They're going to see if they could get something put forward here in the next legislative session. I told her that I would like to be involved in that. So they're just doing brainstorming right now. I don't know when they're going to be meeting again, but when they do, I'll keep you guys posted on that. I was just going to follow up too on what Brenton had said about the bond sales. It sounds like everybody was pretty happy with what we got. We certainly were. We were expecting it to be higher than that. And I think our bonding agency did too. But so, yeah, 3.25 par is awesome for the markets that we're currently in. Other than that, I think that's all I've got right now. So, okay, thank you.
Okay, Sarah, you're up next.
Yeah, I had alluded to this earlier. meeting after meeting after meeting last week. Went through a lot of things. I think we got a lot accomplished. I was pretty pleased with all that we discussed. The one thing that I still have significant concerns about, and Jim, Brenton, I'm not sure if we can put this on the agenda for the next meeting or we can get something moving on it, but we need to keep the safety of our kids in mind as our community grows and as these kids go to school. Crossing County Road 17, crossing 76th Avenue are not things that we are prepared for right now. And that traffic comes in the morning and it's doing 40 miles an hour plus. So I really need to get some action on creating some safe crosswalks for those kids. I know we've talked about it. I know it's been on the last couple meetings. I need action on it. So I'm hoping that you can help me out and I'd like to see something on the agenda next time. That's all I have. That is the biggest concern that I have right now, other than just making sure that some of the trucks are obeying Jake brake signs. I got notices again from Mr. Bailey tonight about Jake brakes. Is that signage up now, Brenton?
I don't believe, I have not seen it from the county, but I'll check with Adam and see if he's heard anything from county, because county was going to be installing those.
Yep, we need to check on that. We also need to check on the parking signs to make sure that those are being followed up on. And then I do know that we got a speed limit sign up on 64th. Thank you for that. That's all I got.
So really quick on the parking, Interstate has been having staff out measuring, getting all the measurements for the streets.
Okay.
So working with Interstate on identifying what streets would need to have no parking on both sides, one side. And now we'll have some information where we could be bringing that forward to council soon.
Good, thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, Naomi, you're up.
Well, I just wanted to say, good job tonight, Jeff. You did really, really good running the meeting. Very, very good. I had a couple of questions. Brent, did we get the trailer for Bean Days?
They have indicated to me that yes, that we would have it.
Is somebody gonna get it for me? Cause I can't
They
drive
will
with a
probably-
trailer.
It's likely, I believe it's probably going to be a 53-foot flatbed. Right.
Okay, so somebody's gonna get that trailer.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you want me to find a way where you could pull it, yeah, I don't know.
No,
We'll figure it out.
I need some.
I spoke with the company last week and I'll be following up with them this week. He asked me to give him a call back early this week to coordinate it more.
Okay.
But he said that they would be providing a trailer. That's for my 29 trailers.
Okay, that's good. Is that like a little too excessive? Or is that just right?
It's a little bigger than what we need, but you're having it big than small.
Okay.
You need a minimum length of 32 feet. This one's 53, so it gives you a 20 extra feet of trailer.
Okay.
Which is not bad, and they've used these trailers before.
Tim, what?
What is this? Curious what it's for.
What is it? Yeah.
For the band.
Oh.
So
Okay.
as part of,
Both on the same page.
I don't know what you were doing.
For the band that we hired. Okay, and then do we have a meeting tomorrow? Okay, so we're gonna be wrapping up, Bean Days tomorrow night. What time? 7 o'clock. And I think we sent an invite.
You did. I will be there.
And then, I don't know if the others are gonna be there or if they're gonna be online, but we'll do online for them if they want. Otherwise, I had my first P and Z meeting the other day. That was fun. So, that's about it.
Stephanie, you're up.
I'm jumping in on Bean Days, planning tomorrow night with these guys. So I'm excited to, work on that with you guys. And then Brent, I know you and I, we don't need to talk about it tonight, but we had talked about, you were looking at getting another quote, for equipment fit up here for live streaming. I'm not sure if you've heard back from them or,
we have gotten one quote.
okay, so we can talk about it
Yep,
later.
we can
Okay.
touch base on that.
Okay, so, yep, other than that, I'm ready to jump in and help you guys, and that's all I have.
Okay. For me, done a few rounds of interviews. with the city works people. We did hire one of the people, obviously Brenton alluded to that. And then I reviewed the videos for the finance director position, and I'll be talking with Brenton about that later on. For MetroCog today, we did talk about amending some of their policies for them becoming a TMA, and other than that, that is it for me. I'll let Naomi make a motion to adjourn.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Do I got a second?
I second.
All right, got a motion and a second. Anybody opposed? All right, anybody in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion passes. We're done.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
Have a good day, guys.
Everyone.